I returned to my abandoned warehouse to demolish it, but what I found inside made my blood run cold. 3 small bodies huddled in the darkness, starving, dehydrated, left to die. I found out who locked them there, and tonight he's planning to get engaged to a billionaire's daughter. But not for long. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to expose that monster in front of 200 people. Thank you for stopping by. What made you click on this? The warehouse, the children, the monster getting away with it? Comment below. I read everyone. Quick note. This is a scripted narrative with fictional elements, but the deeper meaning about family choices and living with no regrets, that's worth holding on to. I sat in my corner office at Horizon Trade Group headquarters staring at blueprints that should have excited me. $45 million. A state-of-the-art logistics center rising from an old warehouse in South Boston. Numbers that once made my pulse quicken, now felt empty. Mr. Armstrong. Christopher Hayes knocked before entering. 20 years as my assistant, and he still treated my door like sacred ground. The demolition team needs final approval. They're scheduled to break ground at 6 tomorrow morning. I didn't look up from the satellite image on my screen. The warehouse sat like a gray wound in the Seaport district, surrounded by Tesla dealerships and yoga studios that had swallowed the old neighborhood whole. What did Ethan say when you called? Christopher shifted his weight. I'd seen that move 1,000 times. It meant trouble. Mr. Dalton assured me the property is completely clear, sir. He supervised the final walkthrough himself last week. Ethan, my son-in-law, the man who married my Isabel and stayed for a trust fund that never came, assured you. I met his eyes. Those exact words. He said Christopher cleared his throat. Tell Nick the warehouse is empty as my conscience. Then he laughed. The words landed wrong. Ethan's jokes always had edges sharp enough to cut. I'm going there myself, tonight. Sir, the inspection team already... I don't trust inspection teams. I trust my own eyes. Christopher knew better than to argue when I used that voice. He'd heard it in boardrooms across 3 continents right before I killed deals everyone thought were done. I'll drive you then. No. Stay here. Handle the Singapore call if it comes in early. I grabbed my coat off the rack, Tom Ford charcoal gray. Isabel bought it for me 3 Christmases ago. The last one. I'll be back by 11. The elevator dropped 45 floors, and somewhere around the 30th, her voice came back. Sharp. Hurt. The way it sounded that last time in my office. Dad, one day you'll regret putting business before family. She'd come to invite me to something. Samuel's soccer game, Matthew's school play. The details had dissolved like sugar in rain, leaving only the bitter residue of my answer. I'm building something that will outlast me, Isabel. Something that will take care of you and the boys long after I'm gone. We don't need an empire, Dad. We need you. But I hadn't listened. Armstrong men didn't listen. We built. We conquered. We didn't break. 3 weeks later, she was dead. Route 93 late at night, coming home from somewhere I never asked about because I was in Tokyo closing a deal worth 8 figures. The Mercedes started smooth. German engineering. I pointed it toward South Boston, toward a warehouse I'd bought 20 years ago and forgotten about until some junior analyst flagged it on a quarterly report. The drive took 40 minutes through light traffic. Boston at night belonged to college kids and tourists, not to men like me, who'd made their fortunes before the internet turned every kid with a MacBook into a startup genius. My phone lit up on the dash. A text from Ethan I'd missed during the board meeting. Boys are doing great pizza night. Check it out. The photo showed 3 faces. Samuel, 12, already taller than his mother had been. Matthew, 9, with that crooked grin that was pure Isabel. and Jackson 7 holding up a slice of pepperoni pizza like he'd just won the lottery. They looked happy, safe, fine. I hadn't seen them in 6 months. Not since the funeral where I stood in the back of the church because I couldn't bear to sit up front where everyone could watch me not crying. Armstrong men didn't cry. We endured. I'd told myself I was giving them space to grieve. Told myself they needed time without their grandfather hovering over every meal, every homework assignment, every scraped knee. Lies taste different at 3 in the morning when sleep won't come. The truth was simpler and uglier. I was running. From the guilt. From the living proof that I'd chosen conference calls over school plays, profit margins over bedtime stories, my empire over my family. Isabel had been right, and I'd been too goddamn proud to admit it until they were lowering her into the ground. The GPS cut through my thoughts. Exit in half a mile. South Boston, Seaport District. The warehouse crouched between luxury condos like something dying that refused to fall. Brick walls covered in graffiti, windows black and hollow. The chain-link fence I'd installed years ago sagged like an old man's spine. I parked the Mercedes on the gravel lot. My shoes, Italian leather worth more than most people's car payments, crunched on broken glass and pebbles. The harbor wind carried salt and diesel fumes, and something else underneath. Something rotting. The door should have been locked with the combination padlock I'd ordered last year. Basic security, Home Depot special. This wasn't that lock. This was industrial grade, hardened steel. The kind you see on government facilities or pharmaceutical warehouses. The kind that costs $300 and comes with keys you can't duplicate at the hardware store. I pulled out my phone. The flashlight beam caught the mechanism. Brand new. No rust. No scratches. Installed in the last week, maybe the last few days. My pulse kicked up. Why would an empty warehouse need a lock like this? Ethan's voice crawled through my memory, empty as my conscience. And for the first time in 40 years of reading people, reading markets, reading the spaces between what people said and what they meant, I felt something cold settle in my chest. Fear. The bolt cutters felt cold in Christopher's hands. Heavy duty. The kind you use when you mean business. Boss, this is a $300 lock. Minimum. I knew. That's what scared me. The metal shrieked. Once. Twice. On the third cut, the lock gave up its secrets and clattered to the concrete. Christopher pulled the door open. Rusty hinges screamed into the night. My flashlight swept the darkness inside. 3 shapes huddled in the far corner. Small shapes. Children. Oh, God. The words fell out of me. Oh, my God. I ran. 50 years of business lunches and leather chairs couldn't stop me. My Tom Ford coat caught on something sharp. I didn't care. The smell hit me before I reached them. Urine, sweat, fear, and underneath it all, something impossibly faint that made my chest collapse. Chanel No. 5. Isabel's perfume. The oldest boy looked up. Hollow eyes and a skull-thin face. His right arm was wrapped in torn fabric dark with dried blood. I could see his ribs, individual ribs, like tent poles under paper-thin skin. Samuel. My voice cracked. He blinked. Slow, like thinking took effort. Mom said... His lips were cracked, bleeding. Mom said if anything happened to her, find Grandpa, you'd protect us. The flashlight shook in my hand. Behind Samuel, a smaller boy clutched the smallest one. Both were barely conscious. The middle child's lips moved, whispering something rhythmic. A song. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Matthew, 9 years old, still singing his baby brother to sleep. I dropped to my knees. The concrete was cold, wet. I didn't care. Matthew, buddy, it's okay. It's Grandpa. His eyes opened, unfocused. Dad said, Grandpa stopped loving us. The words hit harder than any boardroom betrayal. No. I pulled him close. He weighed nothing. A bag of bones in a Pokemon t-shirt 3 sizes too big. No, that's not true. That was never true. Are you real? Matthew whispered against my shoulder. I'm real, buddy. I'm here. I'm so sorry I'm here. The smallest boy, Jackson, stirred. 7 years old. He clutched something to his chest. A teddy bear. Brown. Worn. One eye missing. It smelled like mold and something else. Like Isabel. That bear had been hers. I'd bought it for her 40th birthday as a joke. For your future grandkids, I'd said. We'd laughed. Now I wanted to scream. Jackson's eyes opened. He looked at me with that terrible wisdom that children shouldn't have. The knowledge that adults lie. That promises break. That love disappears. Will you leave us too? 4 words. They destroyed me. I'd cried twice in 65 years. Once when my father died. Once when Isabel's casket went into the ground. Armstrong men didn't cry. We endured. We conquered. We built empires. The 3rd time was now. Never. I gathered Jackson into my arms. He was lighter than my briefcase. Lighter than my laptop. Lighter than the guilt that would live in me forever. So you're safe now. All of you. I promise. Christopher. My voice sounded foreign. Raw. Call 911 now. 3 children. Severe dehydration. Tell them, already dialing boss. Samuel grabbed my sleeve. His grip was weak. Desperate. Grandpa, we tried to get out. I tried to break the door. I tried so hard. But Dad, he said we'd get pizza when he came back. He said 2 hours. That was... His voice faded. What day is it? Thursday night. He locked us in Tuesday morning. 2 days, 48 hours, in this darkness, in this cold, in this fear. I felt something break inside me, something I thought I'd already broken when Isabel died. Did he bring food, water? Samuel pointed. His hand shook. In the corner, barely visible, one small plastic bag. Inside a half-eaten sandwich green with mold. An empty water bottle. Nothing else. He said we needed to learn respect. Behind me, Christopher's voice. Ambulance is 6 minutes out. Boss, I found something. He held up a small device. Black plastic. LED lights blinking red. Security camera, motion activated, it's been recording. The warehouse spun. My mind calculated angles, timestamps, evidence. All the pieces fell into place with the precision of a billion-dollar deal closing. Except this wasn't a deal. This was murder. Attempted murder. My son-in-law locked my grandsons in an empty warehouse with moldy bread and no water. He promised them pizza and left them to die. And tomorrow night, less than 24 hours from now, he was marrying into one of the richest families in New England. I looked down at Jackson in my arms. His breathing was shallow. His lips were blue. He weighed maybe 40 pounds. Did Dad do this because of Natalie? Samuel whispered. The name hit me like ice water. Natalie Kingsley, Westbrook Equity Holdings, 40 million in cash and 5% equity. The perfect trophy wife for a man willing to erase his past. No, I said. My voice was steel now. The tears were gone. What replaced them was colder, sharper, more dangerous than any boardroom predator. He did this because he's a monster, but monsters can be stopped. Red and blue lights strobed through the broken windows. Sirens screamed toward us. Christopher ran to guide them in. I held my grandsons, all 3 of them. The boys Isabel died protecting. The boys I'd failed for 2 years. The boys who almost died because I was too busy counting money to count what mattered. "I've got you," I whispered into Jackson's hair. "I've got you now, and I'm never letting go." Outside, the paramedics shouted coordinates. Inside, I made a promise to 3 children and 1 ghost. This was war now, and Ethan Dalton was about to learn what happens when you corner a grandfather with nothing left to lose. The sirens died at 8:23 p.m. I didn't look away from my grandsons, not for a second. 2 paramedics burst through the warehouse door, a woman with gray streaks in her ponytail and a younger man carrying equipment. They moved with the efficiency of people who'd seen worse. But when the woman's flashlight hit Samuel's face, she stopped. "Jesus Christ." She dropped to her knees. "How long have they been here?" 2 days. My voice sounded like gravel. "No food. No water." The male paramedic was already pulling out an IV kit. "We need transport. Now. Brigham and Women's." They worked fast. IV lines, oxygen masks, thermal blankets. Jackson whimpered when the needle went in. I held his free hand. "You're doing great, buddy. So brave." Samuel's eyes tracked me. "Grandpa, don't leave. I'm riding with you. All of you." The ambulance interior was too bright. Too much like the last time I'd ridden in one of these 2 years ago following Isabel's body. Same hospital. Same terrible fluorescent lights. Same smell of antiseptic trying to mask something worse. But this time the patients were alive. The female paramedic Martinez checked Samuel's vitals. "Severe dehydration, malnutrition. This wound is infected." "What happened?" "His father happened. I couldn't keep the venom out. His father locked them in that warehouse and walked away." Martinez's jaw tightened. "We'll need to report this." "Already involved. FBI's on standby." The ambulance swayed through a turn. Jackson's hand squeezed mine. "Grandpa, I'm here. Are we going where Mommy went?" My throat closed. "Yes, buddy, but you're going to be okay, I promise." Brigham and Women's Emergency Department, 8:40 p.m. The ER physician was a woman in her 40s with tired eyes and steady hands. Dr. Rebecca Walsh. She took one look at the boys and started barking orders. "Room 3, get me 3 liters of saline, CBC-CMP blood cultures. Call pediatrics." Dr. Walsh pulled off her gloves. "Mr. Armstrong." "Yes." "They're going to be okay, but—" She paused. Her expression hardened. "Another 12 hours, we might have lost them, all 3. 12 hours. I'd almost been 12 hours too late." My knees went weak. I braced myself against the wall. Everything I'd built, the empire, the reputation, the carefully constructed armor, it all meant nothing. "Can I see them?" "Not yet. We're getting them stabilized." I walked to the waiting area, collapsed into a plastic chair. Christopher sat beside me, silent. I pulled out my phone, dialed Ethan's number, straight to voicemail. I called again, voicemail, again, voicemail. On the 4th attempt, I left a message. My voice was steady, too steady. "Ethan, it's Nick. Call me back. Tonight. It's about the boys." I hung up. "He's not going to call," Christopher said quietly. "I know. Boss?" Christopher pulled out his laptop. I checked the camera's memory card. There's footage from 2 days ago. My hands were shaking. I forced them still. "Show me." He opened the file. 10 seconds of preview. The timestamp read Tuesday, 7:42 a.m. The camera angle showed the warehouse door from inside. Clear, unmistakable. Ethan walked into frame. Confident, casual, wearing the same leather jacket I'd bought him for Christmas 3 years ago. Behind him, 3 small figures. Samuel holding Matthew's hand. Matthew holding Jackson's. "Dad, where are we going?" Samuel's voice tinny through the laptop speakers. Just need you boys to wait here for a bit. I've got a surprise coming. Pizza. Your favorite. How long? That was Matthew. Couple hours, maybe 3. Be good, okay? Then Ethan stepped out, pulled the door closed. The industrial lock clicked into place. Through the narrow window, I could see him test the handle, satisfied. Then he walked away. The boys stood there, confused. Then Samuel tried the door. Pulled, pushed, pounded. The preview ended. I sat there, staring at the frozen image of my grandsons trapped in darkness. "There's 4 minutes total," Christopher said. His voice was careful, including audio of the boys calling for help, calling for their mother, and... He stopped. "And what?" "Calling for you, boss. Samuel tells his brothers that Grandpa will come, that you promised to protect them." The waiting room went silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. "Upload it," I said. "Secure cloud, multiple backups. Send a copy to Edward Bennett and Agent Grant." "Already done, sir." My phone buzzed. I grabbed it. Instagram notification. I opened it. Ethan's account. Posted 30 minutes ago. The photo showed him in a tuxedo. Perfect hair, perfect smile. Champagne flute raised to the camera. Behind him, the ornate molding of a luxury hotel suite. The caption, "Getting ready for the biggest night of my life. Engaged living my best life." Location tag, the Liberty Hotel, Boston. Below 247 likes. Dozens of comments. "Congrats. So happy for you. You deserve it." I stared at that smile, that champagne, that casual joy, while his sons were dying 3 miles away. "Boss?" Christopher's voice pulled me back. I looked up. My face must have shown something terrible because Christopher actually leaned back. "Tomorrow night," I said. My voice was ice. "Ethan Dalton stands in front of 200 guests, in front of the Westbrook family, in front of everyone who matters in Boston high society." "Yes, sir. And I'm going to make sure every single person in that ballroom sees exactly who he is." Dr. Walsh appeared in the hallway. "Mr. Armstrong, the boys are stable. You can see them now." I stood, straightened my coat. The same coat that had caught on rusty metal an hour ago. There was a tear in the sleeve. I didn't care. "Christopher, first thing tomorrow, I want Edward Bennett on the phone, and I want Agent Grant ready to move. When I give the signal, Ethan Dalton's perfect life ends." "Understood, boss." I walked toward the room where my grandsons were sleeping, safe, alive, because I'd gotten there in time, barely in time. Tomorrow, Ethan Dalton would learn what happens when you try to erase the children of a woman I loved more than anything in this world. Tomorrow at the Liberty Hotel, 200 people would witness the end of a monster's fairy tale. And I'd make sure the cameras captured every second. I sat alone in the hospital corridor at midnight. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in that terrible bluish-white glow that makes living people look half dead. The silence was so complete I could hear my own heartbeat. Down the hall, my grandsons were sleeping. Safe. Stable. Words I'd almost lost the right to say. I leaned back against the cold wall and closed my eyes. And Isabel was there. 2 years and 3 months ago. My office on the 45th floor of Horizon Trade Group headquarters. The mahogany desk that cost more than most people's cars. The view of Boston Harbor that I'd stopped noticing years ago. The door opened. Isabel walked in wearing a blue dress. Simple. Elegant. But I could see the exhaustion in her face. The way her shoulders sagged. "Dad, the boys miss you. When was the last time you visited them? I was signing contracts with Singapore. $3.7 million in logistics agreements spread across my desk. I didn't look up. I'm swamped, sweetheart. Next month, I promise. You said that last month, and the month before that. My pen stopped. I looked up, saw the hurt in her eyes, the disappointment, but I was already irritated, already defensive. When you build a $3.2 billion empire, you'll understand what priorities mean. The words came out harsher than I'd intended, colder. Isabel's eyes filled with tears. She stood there for a moment, and I thought she might say something else, might push back. But instead, she just looked at me with this expression I couldn't read at the time. Now I know what it was. Pity. Dad, one day you're going to regret putting business before family. She turned and walked out. Her heels clicked on the marble floor. The door closed with a soft click. I went back to signing papers. That was the last time I saw my daughter alive. 3 weeks later, she was dead. Car accident on Route 2. Killed instantly, the police said, as if that made it better. As if instantly meant she didn't have time to think about her father, who was too busy to visit his grandchildren, who was too busy to tell her he loved her. I opened my eyes. The hospital corridor swam back into focus. She was right, I whispered to no one. I do regret it. Mr. Armstrong. I looked up. A woman stood at the end of the hallway. Older, maybe 68. White hair pulled back in a bun. She wore a cardigan that had seen better days and sensible shoes that squeaked on the linoleum. She was crying. Mr. Armstrong, thank God. Thank God you found them. I stood. Recognition hit me like a wave. Ruth Morgan, the woman who'd taken care of Isabel from the time she was 5 years old, who'd taught her to make cookies and braid her hair and all the things I'd been too busy to do, who'd loved my daughter like she was her own. She rushed forward, grabbed my hands. Her grip was surprisingly strong. I tried to warn you. I called so many times. I left messages. Christopher stood up from where he'd been sitting. His face had gone pale. Boss, He swallowed hard. I blocked her number. 3 months ago. I thought it was a scam. She kept calling about the boys, about Ethan, and I thought, he looked like he might be sick. I should have been angry, should have fired him on the spot. But I was too tired, too broken. And Christopher's mistake had been born from loyalty, not malice. Tell me everything, I said to Ruth. She collapsed into the chair next to mine, pulled a tissue from her pocket, wiped her eyes. Ethan fired me the week after Isabel died, said the family didn't need help anymore, said I was too expensive, but I knew the real reason. She looked at me. He didn't want anyone around who knew the truth. What truth? That he never loved her, that he married her for the Armstrong name, for the connections, for the money he thought he'd inherit. Ruth's voice shook. I saw how he treated those boys after Isabel was gone. Cold, distant, like they were burdens. I tried to call you, over and over, but no one answered. Christopher made a sound like a wounded animal. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Ruth reached into her purse, pulled out an envelope. Old, the paper yellowed with age. My name was written on the front in Isabel's handwriting. My heart stopped. Isabel gave this to me 3 days before she died, Ruth said quietly. She made me promise. She said, Ruth, if anything happens to me, give this to Dad. Make sure he reads it. Make sure he knows. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely take the envelope. Knows what? The truth about Ethan, the truth about everything. I stared at that envelope, at my daughter's handwriting, the loops and curves I'd recognize anywhere. I'd gotten birthday cards in that handwriting, Father's Day cards, Christmas cards, all of them sitting in a box somewhere in my penthouse, because I'd been too busy to frame them, too busy to appreciate them, too busy to tell her they mattered. Christopher leaned forward. "Boss, do you want me to—" "No." My voice was barely a whisper. "I need to do this alone." But I couldn't open it. Not yet. Because once I opened it, everything would change. Whatever Isabel had written in those last 3 days of her life, whatever truth she'd wanted me to know, it would destroy me. Or it would save me. Ruth put her hand on mine. Gentle, motherly. "She loved you, Mr. Armstrong. No matter what happened between you, no matter how many visits you missed or promises you broke, she loved you, and she wanted you to protect those boys." I nodded, couldn't speak. Ruth stood. "I should go. But Mr. Armstrong, those boys need you now. Don't make the same mistakes twice." She walked away, her shoes squeaking on the floor, the sound echoing in the empty corridor. I sat there holding that envelope. Christopher sat next to me, silent, waiting. Finally, I slid my finger under the seal. The old glue gave way easily. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded once. I opened it. Isabel's handwriting filled the page. Neat, careful, like she'd taken her time. Like she'd known how important these words would be. The first line hit me like a bullet. "Dad, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me." My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the letter. Christopher reached out to steady me, but I waved him off. I had to read this. I had to know what my daughter wanted to tell me in her final days. I had to know what truth she'd been too afraid to tell me in person. I read the letter under the fluorescent lights. Every word was a knife to the heart. "Dad, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me. I need you to know the truth about Ethan. The truth I was too scared to tell you while I was alive. Ethan didn't marry me because he loved me. He married me to get close to your money, to the Armstrong name. When you refused to make him vice president of Horizon Trade Group, everything changed. He became cold, distant, angry. I found out he's been gambling, Dad. Poker games with people who don't forgive debts. He owes money to dangerous men. Last week I found a life insurance policy in his office. $5 million. With me as the beneficiary. Purchased 6 months ago. He never told me about it. Dad, I'm scared. I think about leaving, but the boys need their father. They love him. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. But if I'm not wrong, if something happens to me, please protect Samuel, Matthew, and Jackson. Don't let him near them. Don't let him hurt them. Promise me, Dad. Promise me you'll keep them safe. I love you. I'm sorry we fought. I'm sorry I said those things about priorities. But if you're reading this, maybe it's not too late. Maybe you can still save them. Please, Dad, save my boys. Love always, Isabel." The letter blurred. My tears were falling on the ink, smudging her words. Ruth's hand landed on my shoulder. "That accident," she whispered. "The police said she lost control on Route 2. But Isabel was the most careful driver I knew. She never took risks, especially not with the boys in the car." I looked up at her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I never believed it was an accident." Ruth's voice was steel now, and after reading that letter, I believe it even less. The pieces fell into place, each one sharp and terrible and undeniable. The life insurance policy, $5 million, purchased 6 months before Isabel died. The gambling debts, the desperate need for money. The perfect accident on a road Isabel drove every day. And now, 2 years later, the children locked in a warehouse to die. The engagement to Natalie Kingsley. The $40 million and 5% equity. Ethan Dalton had killed my daughter, and he'd tried to kill her children so he could start fresh with a new, richer wife. He murdered her. My voice sounded hollow. He murdered Isabel, and now he's trying to erase every trace of her. Ruth nodded. Silent tears streamed down her face. I stood up, folded the letter carefully, put it back in the envelope. My hands were steady now. Something cold and hard had settled in my chest, something that felt like purpose. Christopher. He stepped forward. Yes, boss. Call Edward Bennett. I don't care that it's 2 a.m. Get him here. Now. Christopher pulled out his phone, started dialing. And call Agent Patrick Grant. Tell him I have evidence of attempted murder. Tell him I need him here within the hour. On it. I walked to the window. Boston was still dark. In 16 hours, the sun would set on Ethan Dalton's engagement party. 200 guests, champagne, music, a celebration of love, except there would be no celebration, only justice. 2 hours later, 200 a.m., Edward Bennett arrived. Suit despite the hour, gray hair perfectly combed. Nick. He shook my hand. Christopher said it was urgent. It is. 3 hours later, 3 a.m. Agent Patrick Grant walked through the hospital doors. FBI, specialist in crimes against children. We gathered in an empty conference room. Christopher set up his laptop. Edward spread legal documents across the table. Agent Grant sat with his arms folded, listening. I showed them everything. The 4-minute video of Ethan locking the boys in the warehouse. The medical records showing severe dehydration and malnutrition. Isabel's letter with its terrible predictions. Agent Grant watched the video twice. His jaw got tighter each time. This is solid, he said finally. We can arrest him right now, tonight. No. The word came out hard. Tomorrow night. The engagement party at the Liberty Hotel. 200 guests, including Howard Westbrook, the man about to hand Ethan $40 million and 5% of his company. Edward leaned forward. Nick, what are you planning? I want everyone to see who Ethan Dalton really is before the handcuffs go on. I want Howard Westbrook to know he almost married his daughter to a murderer. I want every person in that ballroom to witness the truth. Agent Grant studied me. You want to expose him publicly. I want to destroy him publicly. I met his gaze. Can you do that? Can you wait until tomorrow night? My team can be positioned outside the hotel. The moment you give the signal, we move in. Good. I turned to Christopher. Can you get the video onto a projector? Something big enough for 200 people to see clearly. Already on it, boss. I'll have it ready by 6 p.m. tomorrow. Edward cleared his throat. Nick, there's also the matter of custody. Ethan is still their legal father. Even if he's arrested, there will be questions about guardianship. I want emergency custody, tonight. Can you file the paperwork? With this evidence, yes. A judge will grant it by morning. Agent Grant stood. Mr. Armstrong, I've been doing this job for 20 years. I've seen a lot of bad people do terrible things to children, but this... He gestured to the laptop screen. This is evil, and I'll be damned if I let him walk free. He shook my hand. Left to coordinate with his team. Edward started packing up his documents. I'll have the custody papers filed within 2 hours. You'll have legal guardianship by sunrise. Thank you, Edward. He paused at the door. Isabel would be proud of you, Nick. The words hit harder than they should have. I nodded, couldn't speak. Christopher and I sat alone in the conference room. The clock on the wall read 5:30 a.m. Through the window, I could see the sky starting to lighten. Boss, Christopher said quietly. You sure about this waiting until tomorrow night? I looked at Isabel's letter on the table. At the video paused on Christopher's laptop. "I've made a lot of mistakes in my life," I said. "Missed birthdays, broken promises, chose boardrooms over bedrooms, but I won't make another one. Not with them, not anymore." Christopher nodded. "What do you need me to do? Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." I stood. Tomorrow night, Ethan Dalton stands in front of everyone he's been lying to, and I'm going to make sure they all see the truth. I picked up Isabel's letter, held it against my chest. And then I'm going to do what I should have done 2 years ago. I'm going to protect my family. I slept for 2 hours in a hospital chair. At 8 a.m., I woke up with a stiff neck and exhaustion in my bones. The bathroom mirror showed me what guilt looks like. Swollen eyes, gray stubble, lines carved deep around my mouth. I looked 10 years older than 65. "This is what failure looks like," I whispered to my reflection. I splashed cold water on my face. It didn't help. Down the hall room, 347. I pushed the door open quietly. The boys were sleeping, sedated. Their bodies needed rest. Samuel's face was still too thin, his right arm wrapped in clean white bandages. But the IV drip was working. Color was coming back to his cheeks. Matthew slept, curled around Jackson, protective even in unconsciousness. Jackson clutched that bear, the one that used to be Isabel's. His thumb was in his mouth. 7 years old and sucking his thumb because his father had tried to kill him. Ruth sat in the corner. She hadn't left. "Go home, Ruth. Get some rest." She shook her head. "Not until you come back. Not until I know they're safe." I walked to Samuel's bedside, touched his forehead gently. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving. Not ever again." Matthew stirred, his eyes fluttered open. "Grandpa, I'm here, buddy." "You're really here." "I'm really here." He closed his eyes, went back to sleep, but his hand reached out and found mine, held on. I stayed until noon. My penthouse was 30 minutes away. High-rise in Back Bay, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the Charles River. I showered, shaved. The razor scraped away yesterday's stubble. My closet held 50 suits. I chose the navy Armani, the one Isabel had picked out for me 5 Christmases ago. "Wear this one, Dad. Navy makes you look distinguished." I'd worn it to her funeral. Now I'd wear it to her justice. The red tie was silk, Isabel's favorite color. I knotted it carefully. "This is for you, sweetheart." My phone buzzed. Christopher. "Agent Grant and his team are positioned. They'll be ready at 6 p.m. "Good." Edward filed the emergency custody paperwork this morning. Judge signed off an hour ago. "The boys are legally yours now, boss." I closed my eyes, felt something loosen in my chest. "Thank you, Christopher." At 2 p.m. I met Edward at his office. More paperwork, more signatures. "Nick, this is just emergency custody," Edward said. "There will be a full hearing, evaluations." "I don't care." I signed my name, hard enough to tear the paper. "Those boys are mine to protect, and no court is taking them away from me." Edward nodded. "I'll make sure they don't." Back to the hospital at 4 p.m. The boys were awake now. Eating ice cream. Real food would come later, the doctors said. Samuel looked up when I walked in. "Grandpa, you're wearing a suit." "I have to go somewhere tonight. Something important." "Are you coming back?" The question broke me, the fact that he even had to ask. "Yes, I'm coming back. And when I do, we're going to talk about where you boys are going to live. Because it's with me, if you want to." Matthew's eyes went wide. "Really? Really?" Jackson climbed off the bed, walked over, hugged my leg. I want to live with you, Grandpa. I knelt down, hugged him back. Then that's exactly what's going to happen. At 6 p.m., I kissed each boy on the forehead, told them I loved them, told them I'd be back soon. Then I walked out. Christopher was waiting in the Mercedes, engine running. Ready, boss? Not yet. I need to see something first. He handed me his laptop. The video was already loaded. 4 minutes. I'd only watched the 10-second preview before. Now I needed to see everything. The timestamp, Tuesday, 7:42 a.m. Ethan opened the warehouse door. Come on, boys. I've got a surprise for you. Samuel, Matthew, and Jackson walked in, confused but trusting. Where are we, Dad? Samuel asked. Just an old place. Thought you boys might like to explore. I'll be back in a couple hours with pizza, pepperoni, and extra cheese. Can we come with you? Matthew asked. No, buddy. You wait here. It'll be an adventure. Then Ethan stepped out, pulled the door closed. The industrial lock clicked. Through the window, I watched him test the handle, watched him smile, watched him check his watch. Then he walked away. Inside, the boys realized they were trapped. Samuel ran to the door, pounded with his small fists. Dad, let us out. Matthew started crying. I'm scared. Jackson just stood there, silent, holding his bear. Dad will come back, Samuel said. He promised. But the video kept running, and Ethan didn't come back. I watched all 4 minutes. Watched my grandsons go from confused to terrified. Watched Samuel's brave face crumble. Watched Matthew sing lullabies to Jackson. Watched Jackson curl up in the corner. The video ended. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Drive. Christopher pulled out, headed toward Beacon Hill, toward the Liberty Hotel. Are you ready? He asked. I've never been more ready for anything in my life. We arrived at 7 p.m. The Liberty Hotel stood like a cathedral. Luxury cars lined the circular drive. Women in evening gowns, men in tuxedos. Everyone dressed for a celebration. I stepped out of the Mercedes, straightened my tie, buttoned my jacket. Christopher came around with the laptop. Everything's loaded. The projector's set up inside. I'll be in the AV booth. Good. Boss. He met my eyes. Isabel would be proud. I nodded, couldn't speak. Then I walked toward the entrance, toward the ballroom where Ethan Dalton stood smiling, thinking he'd won. He had no idea his world was about to end. Let's finish this. I stepped into the Liberty Hotel lobby. Vaulted ceilings, crystal chandeliers, cold marble floors that echoed with every footstep. This building used to be a jail, Charles Street Jail, built in 1851. They'd converted it into luxury in 2007, stripped away the cells and replaced them with 5-star rooms, erased the suffering and painted over it with wealth. How fitting. Christopher walked beside me, the laptop under his arm like a briefcase, like we were here for business, which I suppose we were. The lobby was full. Women in evening gowns that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Men in tuxedos that fit too perfectly to be rented. Everyone checking in. Everyone heading toward the ballroom on the second floor. Everyone here to celebrate love. I walked to the security desk, showed my ID. I need to speak with Howard Westbrook, immediately. Tell him it's about his daughter's fiancé. The security guard, young, maybe 25, picked up his radio. Boy, sir, I'll need to verify. Tell him Nick Armstrong is here. Tell him it's urgent. Tell him it's about Ethan Dalton. Something in my voice made him stop arguing. He spoke into the radio, listened, then nodded. Mr. Westbrook will meet you in the private lounge. Third door on the left. Thank you. Christopher and I walked down the corridor, past photos of the old jail, iron bars, cell blocks, prisoners staring at the camera with dead eyes. I wondered if Ethan would have that same look in a few hours. The private lounge was small, leather chairs, a wet bar, windows overlooking Charles Street. Howard Westbrook walked in 2 minutes later, 60 years old, silver hair, a suit that probably cost $10,000. The kind of man who'd built an $8.9 billion private equity firm from nothing. The kind of man who recognized power when he saw it. And right now, he saw it in me. Nick Armstrong. He extended his hand. This is unexpected. I didn't realize you'd been invited to my daughter's engagement party. I wasn't. I didn't shake his hand. I'm here because the man your daughter is about to marry tried to murder his 3 sons 2 days ago. Howard's hand dropped. His expression shifted from polite confusion to sharp focus. That's a serious accusation. It's not an accusation, it's a fact. I nodded to Christopher. Show him. Christopher opened the laptop, pulled up the video, pressed play. 4 minutes. Howard Westbrook watched in silence. His face went from skeptical to pale to something that looked like he might be sick. When the video ended, he sat down heavily in one of the leather chairs. My God. His voice was barely a whisper. My God. Natalie was going to marry him. I was going to give him $40 million and 5% of my company. Yes. Those children, they're his sons. His sons. My grandsons. They almost died because he locked them in that warehouse and walked away. Howard looked up at me. Why are you showing me this? Why not go to the police? The police are already involved. FBI is positioned outside this hotel right now. But before they arrest him, I want everyone in that ballroom to see who he really is. I want your daughter to know the truth. I want every person who came here to celebrate to witness what kind of monster they were cheering for. Howard stood, straightened his tie. When he looked at me, his eyes were hard, cold, the eyes of a man who'd destroyed competitors and built empires on their ruins. How do you want to do this? I need access to the ballroom, to the stage, to your microphone. Done. Howard pulled out his phone. Typed something. I'll introduce you myself, right before the toast. Thank you. Don't thank me. Howard's voice was ice now. Thank you for stopping me from making the biggest mistake of my life, from letting that man anywhere near my daughter. He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Mr. Armstrong, I have security positioned throughout the hotel. If Dalton tries to run, he won't get far. Howard nodded. Then he was gone. Christopher looked at me. You ready, boss? Let's go. We walked toward the ballroom. The doors were open. Music drifted out. Violins, piano. Something classical and elegant and completely wrong for what was about to happen. I stepped inside. The ballroom was stunning. White roses everywhere. Thousands of them. Climbing the walls, draped over tables, arranged in massive centerpieces that probably cost more than most people's cars. A $1.2 million party for a love that was built on lies and murder. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Round tables with white tablecloths seated 200 guests. A stage at the front with a podium. A screen for presentations. And there, standing near the stage, was Ethan Dalton. He wore a tuxedo, custom-fitted. His hair was perfect. His smile was perfect. His arm was around Natalie Kingsley, 28 years old, wearing a white cocktail dress that probably cost more than the median annual salary in America. She looked happy, radiant, like a woman in love. She had no idea she was standing next to a murderer. Ethan saw me. His eyes widened for just a second. Then his face smoothed over. That practiced smile. That easy charm. He leaned down and whispered something to Natalie. Then he walked toward me. Nick. His voice was warm, surprised, delighted. I didn't know you'd be here. This is such a wonderful surprise. He extended his hand. I didn't take it. How are the boys? He asked. His voice dripped with concern. I've been so worried. I tried calling the hospital, but they wouldn't tell me anything. They're alive. My voice was flat. No thanks to you. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear, anger. But it was gone in an instant. I don't understand. You thought they'd be dead by now. His smile faltered, just for a second. Then Howard Westbrook stepped onto the stage, tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. The room quieted. 200 faces turned toward the stage. Before we continue with the evening's celebration, there's someone who needs to address us. A man many of you know. Nick Armstrong. Whispers rippled through the crowd. People turning to each other. Confused. Curious. Ethan leaned close to Natalie. Probably just some business announcement. You know these billionaires, they can't help themselves. But I saw it in his face. The crack in the mask. The fear creeping in. He knew. I walked toward the stage. My shoes clicked on the marble floor. Every step deliberate. Every step bringing me closer to the moment I'd been waiting for. Howard extended his hand, helped me up the stairs. The spotlight hit me. Warm. Blinding. 200 faces staring up at me, and there in the front row, Ethan Dalton stood with his arm around Natalie, still smiling, still pretending. That smile was about to die. I stood at the microphone. Center stage. The ballroom went silent. 200 people staring at me. Thank you all for being here tonight, I began. My voice was steady. I know you came to celebrate love, to witness something beautiful between Natalie Kingsley and Ethan Dalton. I looked directly at Natalie. She smiled, uncertain but polite. Natalie, you're a lucky woman. I paused. Or at least you were, until tonight. Her smile faltered. Ethan stepped forward. Nick, what are you doing? I ignored him. 2 years ago, I lost my daughter, Isabel. She was 32, beautiful, kind, a devoted mother to 3 boys. Whispers rippled through the ballroom. Isabel was married to a man who seemed perfect. Charming, handsome, ambitious, a man who knew how to smile at the right people and say the right things. I turned to Ethan. His face had gone pale. That man is standing right here. Ethan Dalton. The whispers grew louder. Natalie looked at Ethan. You were married, you have children. Natalie, I can explain. Ethan reached for her hand. She pulled away. 2 days ago, I continued. I went to inspect an old warehouse in South Boston, a building I own. I was planning to demolish it. I gripped the podium. But when I arrived, I found something unexpected. The door was locked. Industrial lock. The kind you use when you don't want anyone getting in or getting out. The ballroom was completely silent now. Inside that warehouse, I found 3 children, my grandsons. Samuel, 12 years old, Matthew, 9, Jackson, 7. My voice cracked. They'd been locked in there for 2 days. No food, no water, in complete darkness, starving, terrified. Gasps echoed through the room. Samuel's arm was infected, wrapped in pieces of his own shirt. Matthew spent 2 days singing lullabies to his little brother. Jackson clutched a teddy bear, the only thing he had left of his mother. Tears were streaming down my face. The doctors said if I'd arrived 12 hours later, they would have died. All three of them. Natalie's hand flew to her mouth. She was crying. Ethan took another step forward. His voice was loud, desperate. This is insane. This is a lie. Nick, you're grieving. You're confused. This is slander. I looked at him, saw the panic in his eyes. Am I lying, Ethan? My voice was ice. Do you want me to show everyone the proof? There is no proof because this didn't happen, Christopher. My assistant stood at the back, near the AV booth. He nodded. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, I'm going to show you a video, 4 minutes long, recorded by a security camera inside that warehouse. Nick, don't do this. Ethan's voice was pleading now. I nodded to Christopher. He pressed a button. The lights dimmed. A screen descended from the ceiling. The projector hummed to life. 200 people turned to look. The video began. The timestamp appeared, Tuesday, 7:42 a.m. The warehouse door, viewed from inside. And there was Ethan Dalton, walking through that door. 3 small boys following behind him. His perfect smile, the one he'd been wearing all night, the one he'd used to charm everyone in this room, finally shattered. Because now everyone could see the truth. The screen lit up. The timestamp appeared Tuesday, 7:42 a.m.
explores
The
justice
warehouse door,
and legacy.
viewed from inside.
It's a story that resonates
Ethan
deeply.
Dalton walked into frame.
Welcome to the show.
Behind him,
Tonight
3
we
small
explore
figures.
the intricate world
Samuel
of father's
holding
silent
Matthew's hand,
revenge and what
Matthew
drives
holding
the characters
Jackson's.
involved.
Dad, where
the
are we
truth
going?
remains hidden in the
Samuel's
silence,
voice came through
waiting
the
for the right
speakers.
moment to strike.
Just an old place I know, buddy.
We must be patient.
Thought you boys might like
Welcome
to
back,
explore.
everyone. Tonight,
got a
we
surprise
dive
coming.
deep into the world of
Pizza,
father's
your
silent
favorite,
revenge, where
pepperoni
loyalty
and extra
truly
cheese.
means everything. Dismissive
When
label.
That was Matthew.
It allowed them to shrink my life
Couple
into
hours,
a neat,
maybe 3.
non-threatening box.
Be good while you wait, okay?
They pictured me in a drab.
The boys walked into
The concept of a
warehouse,
father's
curious,
silent revenge is
trusting.
complex,
Then Ethan
often
stepped
rooted
back.
in societal expectations and deep-seated
Dad,
emotional conflict.
Samuel's voice.
Welcome back
uncertain
to
now.
the studio.
The door
Today we're
swung shut.
diving deep
Click.
into the
The
themes
industrial
of
lock
legacy
engaged.
and retribution
The sound
in
echoed through
father's
the ballroom
silent
speakers.
revenge.
Loud,
The evidence suggests
final.
this wasn't a
Samuel
random
ran
act,
to the door.
but a calculated
Small
move
fists
years
pounding
in the
against
making.
metal.
The father knew
Dad,
exactly what he was
Dad
doing.
let us out.
Welcome back
Matthew's
to
voice
Father's
joined
Silent
in.
Revenge.
We don't
Today
like
we're
this game.
diving into the
Jackson started
motivations
crying.
behind the recent events.
Daddy, please.
In this episode of Father's
Through the narrow
Silent Revenge,
window,
we
the
explore
camera
the
caught
motivations
Ethan's face.
behind the protagonist's
He stood there
calculated
for 5
moves
seconds,
and the impact on
checking
those
his
around
watch.
him.
A Rolex.
The concept of revenge is
Then he
as old as
smiled.
time.
Not
But
nervous,
what we rarely
not
discuss
uncomfortable.
is the silence that accompanies
Satisfied.
it. Tonight,
turned,
welcome back to the studio.
Walked to
Today
his
we're
Mercedes.
diving deep into the themes
camera
of
caught the license
legacy and
plate clearly.
retribution in Father's
He got in,
Silent Revenge.
Started the engine.
Dismissive label.
Drove away.
It allowed them to shrink
Inside
my
the
life
warehouse,
into
the
a neat,
boys kept screaming,
non-threatening box.
Mom,
They
we want
pictured me in a
Mom.
drab.
Grandpa
Welcome back
will come,
to
he
Father's
promised.
Silent
Please,
Revenge.
please, let us out.
Today we're diving into the
crying got softer,
motivations behind
more
the recent
tired.
events.
More hopeless.
Welcome to the
The
show.
timestamp kept
Tonight
running.
we explore the intricate world of Father's
7:43
Silent
a.m.,
Revenge and what drives the
7:44
characters
a.m.,
involved.
7:45
A world
a.m.
built on a clear
Then the
code
video
of
ended.
honor
The
and an
screen went black.
unambiguous chain
The
of
ballroom
command,
was silent,
and I focused on
completely
my
silent.
work.
Then the sound
In this
started.
episode, we examine
Crying,
the motivations
gasping,
behind the
someone retching
characters
in the
in
corner.
Father's Silent Revenge
A woman in
and
the
how
third row
silence
ran
can
for
be
the
used
exit,
as a weapon.
her hand over her
Took
mouth.
the microphone,
Natalie Kingsley
and
collapsed
he was an
into a chair,
imposing figure,
sobbing.
a man who radiated
Howard wrapped his arms
quiet,
around his daughter.
utterly confused
Ethan took
by
a
his
step
tone.
forward, his
Yes,
hands raised.
I know it's my sister,
desperate.
Sabrina Steele.
That video,
What are you
it's
talking
edited.
about?
It's been manipulated.
Delayed calls on
The
a satellite
FBI
phone
has
and
the
my
original
voice,
file,
a
I
ghost
said.
from a world
They
he no
verified
longer
it.
understood.
Timestamps, metadata,
Welcome, everyone.
everything.
Today we are diving
I was teaching
deep
them a
into
lesson.
the
They were
inspiration and
misbehaving.
themes behind
Teach them a
Father's
lesson.
Silent Revenge.
I
And the
stepped
evidence
down from the
suggests this
stage.
wasn't a random act,
By locking
but
them
a
in a
calculated
warehouse for
move
2
years
days
in the
with no
making.
food, no
The
water.
father knew exactly what he
When
was
were
doing.
you planning to come back?
Thank you, ma'am, he said again,
they were
looking
dead.
uncomfortable. I
I was
didn't
going to
realize
come
you'd
back.
be here.
I just needed time
Genevieve
to think.
mentioned her sister was a
The
lawyer.
wedding plans,
Father's
the
Silent
pressure.
Revenge explores the intricate
You needed
dynamics of
$40 million.
long-awaited justice. It's a narrative that
voice was
challenges our
ice,
conventional understanding
and
of
3
morality.
children were in
Welcome
your
back,
way.
everyone. Today we're
I was
diving
standing
deep
right in front
into
of
the
him now.
themes of legacy and
So you decided
retribution
to
as
erase them.
depicted in Father's
Lock them
Silent
away.
Revenge.
Let
Welcome
them
back to
die,
the studio.
then
Today
start
we're
fresh
diving
with a new
deep
wife,
into the themes of
richer
legacy and
wife.
retribution in
That's
Father's
not, that's
Silent
insane.
Revenge.
Welcome,
I
everyone.
reached into my jacket,
Tonight,
pulled
we
out
look
the
into
envelope.
the dramatic case known as
This is a letter,
Father's
I said,
Silent Revenge.
loud enough for everyone to hear.
Weakened by morphine
Written
and
by my
fear,
daughter,
he had been vulnerable
Isabel,
to Genevieve's
3
soft,
days before she
insistent
died.
whispers. Welcome,
I
everyone.
unfolded it.
Today we are diving
hands were
deep
shaking.
into the
She wrote,
inspiration and themes
Dad Ethan
behind
didn't marry
Father's
me
Silent
because he
Revenge.
loved me.
And she
He
turned her
married me to
dazzling
get close
smile
to
back
your
to him.
money.
This is
I
Robert.
found a
He's a
life
real
insurance
soldier, a
policy
captain.
in his office.
The insult was
$5
delivered
million
with surgical precision.
with me as the
The concept of a
beneficiary.
father's silent
Purchased
revenge
6
is
months ago.
complex, often rooted in
Gasps
societal
echoed through the
expectations
ballroom.
and deep-seated emotional conflict.
3 days after
Father's
Isabel
Silent
wrote this
Revenge is
letter,
more than
she
just a
died in a
title.
car
It's a deep
accident on
dive
Route
into
2.
legacy and consequence.
I looked
Let's
at
explore
Ethan.
what that truly
His face
means.
had gone white.
In my latest work,
But
Father's
Isabel was
Silent
the most
Revenge,
careful
we explore
driver
the
I
intricate
knew.
web of secrets
She
that
never
led
took
one
risks,
man down a path he never
especially not with
expected.
her children in
Welcome
the car.
back to the studio. Today
It
we're
was an
diving
accident.
deep
I
into
loved
the themes
Isabel.
of legacy and
You collected
retribution
$5
in
million
Father's
in
Silent
life
Revenge.
insurance 3 weeks
Thank you,
after she
ma'am,
died.
he said again, looking uncomfortable.
Silence.
I didn't
And
realize you'd be
tonight you were
here.
about to collect
Genevieve
$40
mentioned
million
her
more,
sister was a lawyer.
plus
Welcome
5%
back to the studio.
equity in
Today we're
Westbrook
diving
Equity
deep
Holdings.
into the themes of
All you
legacy
had to
and
do was get rid
retribution
of the
in
children
Father's
first.
Silent Revenge.
Natalie
We're
stood
told
up.
you also serve
Her
our
face
country.
streaked with
On
tears
behalf
and
of a grateful
mascara.
nation and our family,
Did
thank
you
you for your
kill her?
service, a polite.
Her voice was
In this
barely a
exclusive
whisper.
series, we'll dive
Did you
deep into the
kill your
motivations
wife?
and outcomes depicted in
Natalie,
Father's Silent
please.
Revenge.
Did
Stay
you
tuned
kill
for
her?
insights you won't find anywhere
Ethan
else.
looked around
The
the
silence
ballroom.
itself is the weapon.
200 faces staring at
When a
him
father
with horror,
seeks
with
revenge,
disgust,
it's rarely loud,
with rage.
but always
He'd
deliberate.
lost everything.
Thank you,
The
ma'am,
money,
he said
the
again,
marriage,
looking uncomfortable.
the future he'd killed
I didn't
for.
realize you'd be here.
It was an
Genevieve
accident,
mentioned her
he
sister was a
whispered,
lawyer.
but his
Welcome to
voice
Father's
was hollow,
Silent Revenge.
empty
In this
of
series, we
conviction.
explore the intricate details behind
Get
some
away
of
from my
history's most
daughter.
compelling unsolved mysteries and
Howard's
dramatic
voice was
events.
steel,
Welcome,
cold,
everyone.
final.
Tonight, we look
Get away
into
from
the
her right
dramatic
now.
case known as
Ethan backed up,
Father's Silent
his eyes
Revenge.
darting around the room,
We're
looking for
told
an
you
exit,
also serve our
looking for
country.
sympathy,
On behalf
looking
of a
for
grateful
anything that
nation
might save
and
him.
our family, thank you for your service,
He
a
found
polite.
nothing.
Welcome back to
200
Father's Silent
witnesses had
Revenge.
just watched him lock
Today
his
we're
children
diving
in a warehouse
deep
to
into the
die.
psychology behind
Had just heard
recent
about the
events.
insurance policy,
The
the
silence
suspicious
itself is the
accident,
weapon.
the calculated
When
cruelty.
a father seeks revenge,
There was no coming
it's
back
rarely
from this.
loud, but always
The
deliberate.
ballroom doors burst
The concept
open.
of a father's
Heavy
silent revenge
footsteps.
is complex,
Multiple
often rooted
people
in societal
moving
expectations
fast.
and
Agent
deep-seated
Patrick
emotional
Grant
conflict.
stepped into the ballroom.
Welcome back, everyone.
His
Today we are
FBI
diving
badge caught
deep
the
into
chandelier
Father's
light
Silent
and threw
Revenge,
silver reflections
analyzing the
across the
themes of
walls.
justice and legacy.
Behind him,
In
4
this
more
episode,
agents
we
in
examine the
tactical gear,
motivations behind the characters
hands near
in
their
Father's
weapons,
Silent Revenge,
eyes
and how
scanning the
silence can
room
be
with the
used as a
practiced
weapon.
efficiency of
Utterly
people who'd done
confused by
this
his tone.
1,000 times.
Yes, I know it's my sister.
Grant's voice
Sabrina
filled the
Steele.
ballroom.
What are you talking
Steady,
about?
authoritative,
We're told
the
you
voice
also
of
serve
justice
our country.
finally arriving.
On behalf of a grateful nation
Ethan
and our
Dalton,
family, thank you for your
FBI,
service.
you're
a
under
polite.
arrest.
A radiant,
head snapped
magnanimous
toward the
smile
doors.
that
His
clearly
face
said,
went from
"See,
white to gray,
I am generous,
like
and
all
I
the blood had
acknowledge your
drained
little
out of
life."
him.
Thank you all for joining us.
Charges
I'm
include
excited
child
to finally
endangerment,
share the
abandonment
details
of
about
minors,
Father's
attempted
Silent
murder,
Revenge.
insurance fraud,
It's going to be an
and
intense
suspicion of
ride.
vehicular
He
homicide
was alone.
in the death of Isabel
Genevieve was
Armstrong
holding
Dalton.
court with a circle of admirers. Ma'am, he
Ethan
said.
shook his head, backing away from the approaching
My
agents.
desk had been in courtrooms in
No,
Baghdad
this is... you
and
can't-
briefing rooms at the Pentagon
His eyes
and
darted to the
negotiation
side
tables in
exit,
The Hague.
20 feet away.
The concept of a
past
father's
the dessert
silent
table
revenge
with
is
its
complex,
untouched wedding
often
cake.
rooted in societal
He ran.
expectations and
But
deep-seated
2
emotional
agents were
conflict.
already there.
Welcome back to the
positioned,
studio.
waiting.
Today we're diving deep into the
They'd
themes of
anticipated
legacy and retribution
Ethan
in
skidded to a
Father's
stop,
Silent Revenge.
spun around.
Thank you, ma'am,
looked for
he said
another way
again,
out.
looking uncomfortable.
The ballroom had 4
I
exits.
didn't realize you'd be here.
Every single one
Genevieve
was blocked
mentioned
by
her sister
federal
was
agents.
a lawyer. She
He was
turned her
trapped,
dazzling smile back
just
to
like
him.
he'd trapped his
This is
sons
Robert.
in
He's
that
a real
warehouse.
soldier, a captain.
Don't make
The
this
insult
harder
was
than it
delivered with
needs to be,
surgical precision.
Grant said.
You all for joining us.
He was
I'm
walking toward
excited to
Ethan
finally
now,
share the details
slow,
about Father's
deliberate,
silent revenge.
like he
It's
had
going to
all
be
the
an
time in
intense
the world.
ride.
Because
In
it
this
did.
episode of Father's Silent Revenge,
Ethan
we
had nowhere
explore
to
the
go.
motivations behind the
This is a
protagonist's
mistake.
calculated moves and the
Ethan's
impact
voice
on
was
those
shrill
around
now.
him.
The truth
Desperate.
remains hidden in the
I
silence,
want my lawyer.
waiting
You
for
can't
the right
arrest me
moment to
without.
strike.
We have a
Mhm.
warrant
We must be
signed
patient.
by a federal judge 2
Thank
hours
you,
ago.
ma'am, he said again, looking
Grant
uncomfortable.
pulled a document from his
I
jacket,
didn't realize you'd be here.
and we have probable
Genevieve
cause.
mentioned her sister was a
Multiple
lawyer.
counts. The evidence is overwhelming.
Robert, darling, don't
2
bore my
agents
sister
moved
with
in
all
from
your
the sides.
tedious army talk.
Ethan tried to dodge, tried to
A
push
man who
past them.
understood duty.
One
And
agent
Genevieve's
grabbed his
world was
right
one of
arm,
social maneuvering and
twisted
subtle
it behind his
cruelties,
back
and
with
they were
practiced
speaking different
efficiency.
languages.
Another
She turned her
secured the
dazzling
left.
smile back to him.
The handcuffs
This is Robert.
clicked
He's a
into
real
place.
soldier, a
That
captain.
sound metal on
The
metal
insult was
final and
delivered with
irrevocable
surgical
seemed to
precision.
echo through the
Welcome to
silent
Father's
ballroom.
Silent Revenge. I'm your host, and
You
today
have the right
we're
to
diving
remain
deep
silent,
into the latest
Grant
strategies.
began. Anything you say can
Father's
and will
Silent
be used
Revenge is
against
more
you
than
in a
just a
court of
title.
law.
It's a deep dive into
have the right
legacy
to an
and
attorney.
consequence. Let's explore
Nick.
what that truly means.
Ethan twisted
Welcome back
against
to
the agents
Father's
holding
Silent
him.
Revenge.
His face
Today
was red
we're
now,
diving deep
veins
into the
bulging in his
psychology
neck.
behind the recent events.
Nick, you did this.
Thank you, ma'am, he
destroyed
said
my
again,
life.
looking uncomfortable.
I stepped down from
I
the
didn't
stage,
realize you'd be here.
walked toward him
Genevieve
slowly,
mentioned her
every
sister was
eye
a
in the
lawyer.
ballroom
In
watching
this
me.
exclusive series, we'll dive deep into the
stopped 3
motivations
feet
and
away,
outcomes depicted in
close
Father's
enough
Silent
to see the
Revenge.
sweat on
Stay
his
tuned
forehead,
for insights you won't
the
find
panic in
anywhere
his
else.
eyes, the
My
complete
desk had
and
been
utter
in courtrooms
destruction
in
of the
Baghdad
mask he'd worn
and
for so
briefing
long.
rooms at the Pentagon and
No
negotiation tables in The Hague.
My voice was cold.
Welcome to the premiere
Calm.
episode of Father's Silent
You
Revenge.
destroyed your own life.
We have a lot to
I just made
unpack
sure
tonight
everyone got to
regarding the
see it.
case files I've received.
Something snapped in him then. The last thread
Robert,
of control.
darling,
The
don't
final
bore
pretense.
my sister with all your
His face
tedious
contorted,
army talk.
rage replacing fear.
Exploring the intricate
Those
web of
kids,
family secrets and
he was
long-awaited
screaming now,
retribution.
spit
This is
flying
Father's
from his
Silent
mouth.
Revenge, and this week
Those
we look at the
kids were a
consequences
burden.
of silence.
They ruined
Utterly
everything.
confused by his
They
tone.
stood in the way of
Yes,
everything
I know it's my sister,
deserved.
Sabrina Steele.
The
What are
ballroom
you talking
erupted.
about?
Gasps.
Welcome back to
shouts,
the studio.
Someone screamed.
Today we're taking an
Natalie
exclusive
made
look
a
at
sound
the
like she'd
themes
been
and production behind
Her father
Father's
pulled her
Silent
closer,
Revenge.
shielding
The
her
evidence
from the
suggests
monster
this wasn't
she'd
a
almost
random
married.
act, but a calculated
I gave
move
them
years in
food.
the making.
Ethan
The
kept
father knew
screaming.
exactly what he was
The
doing.
agents were
Well,
pulling him
a man
toward the
who
exit,
understood
but
duty.
he fought them.
And Genevieve's
Twisting,
world was one of social
thrashing.
maneuvering and subtle cruelties.
I gave them a
and they were
roof.
speaking
I was their
different
father,
languages.
and they
Thank you
couldn't
for
even
joining
be
us.
grateful.
We are here
Couldn't even
today to
shut
discuss
up.
the intricate details
voice
of
cut
what we
through his
call
rant.
Father's
Shut
Silent
your mouth.
Revenge. The concept
But
of
he wouldn't
revenge is
stop.
complicated, especially
I
when
should have
silence
finished
is
them when I
involved.
had the chance. I should have
Welcome
made
to
sure they
Father's
never.
Silent
My
Revenge.
fist connected
Welcome to
with
Father's
his jaw.
Silent Revenge. I'm your
I didn't
host,
plan
and
it.
today we're diving
Didn't think
deep
about it.
into the latest strategies.
1 second I was standing still. The
Utterly
next my hand
confused
was
by his
swinging.
tone.
The impact
Yes,
sent
I know
pain
it's my
shooting
sister,
up my arm.
Sabrina Steele.
Ethan's head
What are you
snapped
talking about?
back. Blood appeared
In this
at the
episode
corner
of
his
Father's
mouth.
Silent Revenge, we explore the motivations behind the
Christopher
protagonist's
grabbed my
calculated
arm.
moves
2
and the
agents
impact
stepped
on those
between
around
us.
him.
The
Mr.
silence of a father
Armstrong
can be his
stepped
most
back.
potent weapon. This is the premise we
Grant's
explore in
voice was
Father's Silent
firm,
Revenge.
but not
It's about
angry.
legacy, consequence,
Let
and
us
quiet
handle this.
retribution. A silent,
stepped
nodding
back,
statue of
my
assent.
hand throbbing.
Your
My
lifestyle
knuckles
is so
already swelling.
unstable, always
Worth it.
moving, always in dangerous
The agents
places.
dragged Ethan
Thank you for
toward the
joining us.
exit.
We are
He
here
was still
today to
screaming,
discuss the
still
intricate
thrashing.
details of
You'll
what we
regret
call
this. I'll sue you. I'll
Father's
destroy you.
Silent
I'll.
Revenge. A
The doors
pittance compared
closed
to the
behind
value
him.
of the estate.
His voice cut
And the
off
final
mid-threat.
insult was the terms, I couldn't touch
ballroom
the
was
principal
silent.
until I was 50.
Then someone
She
started
turned her
clapping.
dazzling smile
One
back to him.
person.
This
in
is
the back
Robert. He's a
row,
real soldier,
an older
a
woman
captain.
in a blue dress.
The insult
Then
was
another
delivered with
person joined.
surgical precision.
Then 10.
Welcome back,
20,
everyone. Today
50,
we are diving deep into
200
Father's
people
Silent
rose to their
Revenge,
feet,
analyzing the
applauding.
themes of
Some were
justice
crying,
and legacy.
some were shouting.
Welcome to the show.
But they were all standing.
Tonight we explore the
For
intricate
justice.
world of Father's
For those
Silent
3
Revenge
boys.
and what
For
drives the
Isabel.
characters involved.
For truth. I stood there,
Robert,
my
darling,
hand throbbing,
don't bore my
heart
sister
pounding.
with all your
I felt
tedious
nothing.
army talk.
not triumph, not satisfaction.
Welcome to the premiere episode
Just
of Father's
exhaustion.
Silent Revenge. We
Howard
have a lot to
Westbrook
unpack
walked over,
tonight regarding
his
the
arm
case
still
files
around
I've
Natalie.
received.
She looked
The
broken,
central theme of
makeup
Father's
ruined,
Silent Revenge
eyes
explores
red and
justice
swollen.
and
but
legacy.
when she looked at me, there was
It's a
something
story
else there
that
too.
resonates deeply,
Gratitude.
flawless and nauseatingly
Thank you.
expensive. And the
Her voice
ballroom
was
of the
hoarse
city's
from
most
crying.
exclusive country club was bathed
Thank you for
in
saving
cream
me
and
from
gold.
him.
My desk had been
nodded.
in courtrooms in
Couldn't
Baghdad
speak.
and briefing rooms at
Howard
the
extended his hand.
and
I
negotiation
shook it with
tables
my
in The
good
Hague.
hand. The one
Welcome,
I hadn't
everyone.
just used to punch a
Today
federal
we are
prisoner.
diving deep into the
Mr.
inspiration
Armstrong,
and
what you did
themes
tonight
behind
saved my
Father's
daughter's
silent
life.
revenge.
In this
Howard's
episode
voice
of
was
Father's
steady
Silent
despite the
Revenge,
emotion
we
in
explore
his
the
eyes.
motivations behind the protagonist's
exposed
calculated
evil,
moves and the
And you
impact
honored
on
your
those
daughter's
around him.
memory.
A man who
I just
understood
did what
duty.
needed to be done.
And Genevieve's world was one of
No.
social maneuvering and subtle
Howard's
cruelties,
grit
and they were
tightened.
speaking different languages.
You did what
Welcome back
most
to the
men
studio.
wouldn't have the
Today we're
courage to
diving
do.
deep into the themes of
He released
legacy
my
and
hand,
retribution
straightened
in
his
Father's
shoulders.
Silent Revenge.
I'm establishing
A
a
silent
fund,
nodding statue
the
of
Isabel
assent.
Dalton
Mhm.
Memorial
Your
Fund,
lifestyle
$10
is
million
so unstable, always
to
moving,
support children
always in
who've been
dangerous
abused,
places. Welcome,
neglected,
everyone. Today,
abandoned.
we dive deep into
My
the
throat
story
closed.
behind
I
Father's
nodded.
Silent Revenge.
I'll contribute too.
Father's Silent Revenge
Natalie
is
said.
more than just a title.
Her
It's
voice
a
was
deep
stronger
dive
now.
into legacy and consequence.
However much you need,
Let's explore
whatever
what
it
that truly
takes
means.
to make sure no other
Dismissive
children go
label.
through what
It
Samuel,
allowed them to
Matthew, and
shrink my
Jackson
life
went
into
through.
a neat, non-threatening
Your daughter
box.
would have been proud of that,
They pictured me in a
Howard
drab.
said quietly. She would have.
Robert, darling,
I managed to
don't
say.
bore my sister with all your
Agent Grant
tedious
approached.
army talk.
Mr. Armstrong will
I
need a
suppose
full
some kind of
statement.
desk job for
But
the
not
government.
tonight.
Right? You know, a desk job
Tonight
that
you
was
should
the
go
narrative
be
they
with
had
your
clung to
grandsons.
for over a decade.
Yeah.
A comfort.
What happens to him
The
now?
concept of revenge is complicated,
Arraignment tomorrow morning.
especially when silence
With
is
the
involved.
evidence, we have the video, the
Welcome
medical
to
records, your
Father's
daughter's
Silent
letter, his
Revenge.
confession in front
Welcome
of
to the
200
premiere
witnesses.
episode of Father's Silent
He's looking
Revenge.
at life.
We have a lot
Multiple
to
life
unpack
sentences.
tonight regarding the case files
Good.
I've received.
Grant
Thank you,
studied
ma'am,
me,
he said again,
then
looking
nodded toward
uncomfortable.
my hand.
I didn't
That was
realize
a good
you'd be
punch.
here.
He
Genevieve
had it
mentioned
coming.
her sister was a lawyer.
Yeah,
Welcome, everyone.
Grant almost smiled.
Tonight, we look
Yeah,
into
he
the
did.
dramatic case
Just
known
don't make
as
it a habit.
Father's Silent
No promises.
Revenge.
Grant
The
shook my
silence of
good
a father can be his most
Those
potent
boys
weapon.
are lucky to
This
have
is the
you.
premise we explore in Father's
Agent
Silent
Grant.
Revenge. It's
I'm
about
lucky to
legacy,
have them.
consequence, and quiet retribution.
Christopher appeared
Welcome
at my
back,
side.
everyone. Today we are
Boss, we
diving
should go.
deep into Father's Silent Revenge.
I looked around the ballroom
analyzing
one
the
last
themes
time.
of justice
The white
and
roses
legacy.
wilting under the hot
They
lights.
thought the past was
The
buried,
wedding cake
but a
no one would
father's
ever
silent
eat.
revenge is
The
meticulously
celebration
planned
that had
and
turned into a
executed
reckoning.
without warning.
This was
The
supposed
central
to be
theme
about
of
love.
Father's Silent Revenge
In a strange
explores
way, it
justice
still was.
and legacy.
My
It's a
phone
story that
buzzed.
resonates
A
deeply.
text from Ruth.
Feel grander.
The boys
The
are
truth
awake.
was
They're
somewhat
asking
more
for you.
complex.
I showed
I wasn't a
Christopher
clerk.
the screen.
I was a major in the
Let's
United
go
States
home,
Army.
I said.
Thank you, ma'am,
Christopher
he
and
said
I
again,
stepped out
looking
of the Liberty
uncomfortable.
Hotel.
I didn't
The
realize
cool
you'd be here.
Boston night air
Genevieve
hit my
mentioned her
face.
sister was a lawyer.
Sharp,
And a quiet
clean,
Irish goodbye before the cake
washing
was
away
even
the
cut.
stale
But
heat of
as
the
I was
ballroom
gathering
and
my
everything
clutch,
that had
Robert
happened
the groom
inside.
appeared at my table.
I stopped on the sidewalk,
My desk had been in
turned back
courtrooms
to
in
look at the
Baghdad
building.
and briefing rooms
Brick
at the Pentagon
facade,
and negotiation
tall
tables in The
windows
Hague.
glowing with warm
Grinding
light.
erosion
Beautiful,
that began the day,
historic,
and our
the
father
kind
Richard
of place
Steele,
tourists
a man
photographed.
I adored.
You know what
Father's
this
Silent
building used
Revenge
to be?
is more than
I
just a
said.
title. It's a
Christopher
deep dive
followed my
into
gaze.
legacy and consequence.
Charles Street
Let's
Jail,
explore what
built
that
in
truly means.
1851. They
I was
turned a prison
bequeathed
into a
trust
luxury
fund,
hotel.
a sum that was substantial
I watched
enough
a
to
couple
look
walk
generous
through
to
the
outsiders,
entrance,
but was in reality
Laughing,
feel
oblivious.
grander.
Tonight
the
it
truth
became a
was somewhat
prison
more
again.
complex.
For Ethan,
I wasn't a clerk. I was a
Christopher was
major in
quiet
the
for a
United States
moment.
Army.
then
Welcome back,
poetic
everyone.
justice.
Today we are diving
Something like
deep
that.
into Father's Silent Revenge,
The Mercedes pulled up.
analyzing the themes
We
of
climbed in.
justice and legacy.
The leather
When we
seats
talk about
felt
Silent
familiar.
Revenge, we often
Comforting.
overlook the role of the,
The
father.
same car I'd driven to
but
that
their
warehouse.
absence or their
The
silence
same car that had
speaks
taken me to this
volumes.
hotel.
And the hushed,
Now taking me
performative
back to the
whispers
hospital.
of mourning the
Full
real
circle.
funeral, the one
We drove through
where
Boston,
my place in the
down
family.
Charles Street,
The silence of a
past
father
the
can be his
common where
most potent
couples
weapon.
walked hand
This
in
is the
hand,
premise we explore in Father's
past
Silent
restaurants
Revenge.
with
It's about
glowing
legacy,
windows and
consequence,
people
and quiet
eating dinner
retribution.
like it was
Thank you all
just
for
another
joining us.
Thursday night.
I'm excited to finally
For them
share
it
the
was.
details about
For
Father's
me, everything
Silent
had
Revenge.
changed.
It's going to be an intense ride.
Boss,
Welcome back, everyone.
Christopher's voice
Today
was
we are
quiet.
diving deep
Careful.
into Father's Silent Revenge,
I need to say
analyzing
something.
the themes of justice and
You don't-
legacy.
I do.
Welcome back to the studio.
His hands gripped
Today
the
we're
steering
taking
wheel
an
tighter.
exclusive look at the
Ruth
themes
Morgan.
and production
I blocked her
behind
calls.
Father's Silent
For 3
Revenge.
months, she tried to warn
The
you about
concept of
Ethan,
revenge
about
is
the boys.
complicated, especially
stopped
when
her.
silence is involved.
I thought she was a scam.
Welcome to
I thought,
Father's Silent
Christopher,
Revenge.
If
In
I
this
just
episode of
listened,
Father's Silent
if I
Revenge,
just let one call
we examine how the quest for
Stop.
justice
He
often
stopped,
begins in
his
the
jaw
quietest
tight,
moments.
eyes on
Thank
the
you for
road.
joining us. We
You
are
were
here
protecting
today
me.
to discuss the
Ruth I said.
intricate details
From
of what we
spam.
call
From people
father's
trying to get
silent
money.
revenge.
From the
Utterly
1,000 calls
confused
a
by his
billionaire
tone.
gets every week from
Yes,
people who
I know
want
it's my
something.
sister, Sabrina
You were
Steele.
doing your job.
What are you talking about?
My job almost cost those
My
boys
desk
their
had
lives.
been in courtrooms in Baghdad and briefing
turned to
rooms at
face
the
him.
Pentagon
I
and
almost
negotiation
cost them their
tables in The
lives.
Hague.
I ignored my daughter for 40
compared to the
years
value of
because
the
I was
estate.
building an empire.
And the final
I missed
insult was the
birthdays,
terms, I couldn't
school
touch the
plays,
principal until I was 50.
graduations.
Utterly
I chose
confused by his
boardrooms
tone.
over bedrooms,
Yes, I
deals
know it's
over
my sister,
family.
Sabrina Steele.
I looked
What are
out
you
the
talking
window
about?
at the city
A
passing
silent,
by.
nodding statue of assent.
Isabel tried to warn me.
Your lifestyle
She
is
told
so
me I'd
unstable,
regret it,
always
and I
moving,
didn't listen.
always in dangerous places.
Then she died,
Silent revenge isn't
and I
about
had a
anger.
second chance.
It's about
With her
calculated,
sons,
methodical
my
success
grandsons.
after being wrong.
And I walked away from
That's
that
what we
too.
explore here.
My voice cracked. I
Robert,
walked away
darling,
for 6 months.
Don't bore my
6
sister with
months.
all your
I
tedious
told
army
myself
talk.
they needed space, that Ethan
Welcome
had
back.
it handled.
Today we are
that they were
examining the
fine.
intricate details behind
Boss,
Father's silent revenge and
They
what it
almost
means
died
for the
because I
current
was a
climate.
coward.
A
Because
pittance
facing them
compared to
meant
the
facing
value
my
of the
guilt.
estate.
Facing
And the final
everything I'd
insult
failed
was the
at as a
terms,
father.
I couldn't touch the principal
The
until I
car
was
was
50.
silent except for the
The
hum of the
silence of a
engine
father can
and
be
the
his most
sound of
potent
traffic
weapon.
outside.
This is the premise we explore in
So no
Father's Silent
Christopher.
Revenge. It's about legacy,
You don't get to take the
consequence,
blame
and
for
quiet
this.
retribution.
I own it.
Literally, in that
All of it.
sterile wood-paneled room, I
Christopher
lost
was
more than
quiet
an
for a long
inheritance. I
moment.
lost my family.
Then,
And
what
I
do we
didn't
do
scream.
now? I looked at him.
In this episode of
This
Father's
man who'd
Silent
worked for me
Revenge,
for 20
we
years,
examine how the
who'd
quest for
blocked calls
justice
to protect
often
me,
begins in the
who'd driven
quietest
me to a
moments.
warehouse at
Welcome
8
back,
p.m.
everyone.
without
Today we are
questions,
diving deep into the
who'd
themes
stood
of my latest
beside me
project,
through everything
Father's Silent
tonight.
Revenge. It's a story about legacy
Now,
and
I
consequence.
said,
The central
now
theme
we go
of
be
Father's
family.
Silent Revenge explores
We.
justice and
You've
legacy.
been there for every
It's
major
a story
moment
that
of my
resonates
life.
deeply.
You
When
were
we
there
started
when
writing
Isabel
Father's
was born,
Silent Revenge, the
when
goal
she
was
got
to create
married,
something intense
when
yet
she
deeply
died.
personal.
You
I
were
believe
there
we
tonight
achieved that
when
balance.
we saved her
When we
sons.
talk about silent revenge,
I
we often
paused.
overlook the role of the father.
If you're willing, I'd like
But
you
their
to be Uncle
absence
Chris
or their
to 3
silence
boys who
speaks
need all the
volumes.
family they
The core
can get.
philosophy behind Father's Silent
Christopher's
Revenge
eyes
centers
got
on
wet.
delayed
He
consequence,
blinked
a
hard,
theme we explore in
kept his
depth
eyes
right
on the
after this
road.
break. A
Uncle
man who
Chris,
understood duty,
he
and
said
Genevieve's
quietly.
world was one of social
I'd like
maneuvering and
that.
subtle cruelties,
Right.
and they
We
were
pulled
speaking
up to
different
Brigham
languages.
and Women's Hospital
Welcome
at
back
10
to
p.m.
Father's Silent Revenge.
The same emergency
Today we're
entrance I'd
diving
rushed
deep
through with
into
3
the
dying
psychology
children
behind
just
the
hours
recent
ago.
events.
But
Took the
everything was
microphone,
different now.
And he was
Christopher
an imposing
parked,
figure,
cut
a
the
man
engine.
who radiated a
We
quiet.
sat there for a moment.
Welcome back to the studio.
You ready
Today
for
we're
this,
taking an
boss?
exclusive look at the themes
looked
and
at the
production
hospital,
behind Father's
the white
Silent
lights,
Revenge.
The
Welcome
sliding
everyone to the
glass
podcast.
doors,
This
the
season
place
we
where
explore the
Isabel had
concept of
died
Father's
and
Silent
her sons
Revenge
had
and
been
what it
saved.
truly means to settle a score
I built a
discreetly.
$3.2
He had
billion
planned this for years,
empire,
a
I
silent
said.
revenge executed
Crushing
with precision.
Ethan was the easy
Nobody
part.
suspected the truth
Learning
hidden
how to
behind
be
his
the
calm
grandfather
demeanor.
those boys
Thank you for
deserve.
joining me in the studio
That's
today.
the real work.
We're launching a new project
starts
titled
now.
Father's Silent
Christopher
Revenge,
nodded.
which I believe will
Then
resonate
let's
deeply
start.
with you. A quiet Irish
We got
goodbye
out of the
before the
car,
cake was even cut,
walked
but
toward the
as I was
entrance
gathering
side
my
by
clutch,
side.
Robert the
The
groom
automatic
appeared at my
doors
table.
slid open.
A quiet
familiar
Irish
smell of
goodbye before the
antiseptic
cake was
and
even
floor
cut,
cleaner.
but as I was
The
gathering my
bright
clutch,
fluorescent lights.
Robert the groom
The
appeared at my
sounds of
table.
machines beeping and people
Welcome to the
talking.
premiere episode of Father's
I'd
Silent
always
Revenge.
hated hospitals,
We have a lot to
They smelled
unpack
like
tonight
death,
regarding the case
like
files
loss.
I've received.
like the
Thank
night
you,
I
ma'am,
lost
he said
Isabel.
again, looking uncomfortable.
But tonight was
I
different.
didn't realize you'd be here.
Tonight I wasn't
Genevieve
here to
mentioned her
lose
sister
someone.
was a lawyer. When we started
was here
writing
to find
Father's
my
Silent
family.
Revenge, the
I
goal was
pushed
to
open the
create
door
something
to room
intense yet
347.
deeply personal.
The
I
lights were
believe we
dim,
achieved that balance.
soft,
Welcome back, everyone.
gentle.
Today we're diving
Ruth
deep
sat
into
in
the
the chair
concept
beside the
behind
bed,
Father's Silent
reading
Revenge
aloud from a
and what it
worn
means for the
paperback.
narrative.
Her voice was steady,
As if the burden
soothing.
of it all was too much to
3
bear,
small
the
figures lay in the
architectural
hospital
firm,
bed.
our father's life's
Samuel
work.
propped up on pillows. Matthew
In this
curled
episode,
against
we
his
explore
older
the
brother's
intricate
side.
details of delayed
Jackson
gratification
clutched
and why
between them
sometimes
that
the
teddy bear
greatest
still
strength
in his
lies
arms.
in waiting a pittance
looked up
compared
when
to the
the door
value of
opened,
the estate.
and their faces
And the final insult
transformed.
was the terms, I couldn't
Grandpa?
touch the principal until I was
Samuel's
50.
voice was hoarse but
Robert,
strong.
I replied
alive.
using his first name
I
to put
crossed
him
the
at
room in
ease.
3 steps,
Congratulations,
sat on
it's
the
a
edge of the
beautiful
bed.
wedding.
and suddenly
The
all 3
concept of
boys were
silent
reaching for
revenge
me,
is something we often
arms
discuss
wrapping
here,
around my neck,
and it's
my
crucial
waist,
to understand
anywhere
the
they could
psychology
hold
behind
on.
it. But thank
You
you for
came
joining
back.
us. We are here today
Jackson's
to
voice was
discuss the
muffled against my
intricate
chest.
details of what we
You
call
really came back.
Father's Father's silent
I
revenge.
told you I would.
And that brings
My
us
voice
to the
cracked.
core of Father's
I'll
silent
always
revenge.
come back.
It's about the choices we make
Christopher stood
when
in the
seeking
doorway.
justice for those who
Ruth
came before
rose
us.
from her chair. They gave
Genevieve,
us
he
space.
said, his voice
Let us
clipped
have this
and
moment.
formal. This
Where's
is
Dad?
Major Steele.
Matthew asked.
Genevieve
His
blinked.
voice was small,
Thank you all for joining
uncertain.
us.
I'm excited
I
to
pulled back
finally
just
share the
enough to look at all
details
three
about
of them.
Father's Silent
Their
Revenge.
faces,
It's going to be an
their
intense
eyes,
ride.
still
Welcome back
too
to
thin,
Father's Silent Revenge.
still
Today we're
marked by
diving
what
into
they'd
the
endured,
strategies that ensure long-term
alive,
success and how patience
safe.
truly is the
Your
ultimate
father is in
weapon.
jail,
Her jaw
I
slacked.
said.
Genevieve looked
Simple,
as if she'd been
direct.
slapped.
He
What,
was
Fort
arrested
Hood?
tonight.
What are you talking
He's
about?
going to be there for a very long time.
She's a government clerk.
He can't hurt you
Given a
anymore.
quiet Irish goodbye before
Samuel's
the cake was
face
even
hardened.
cut, but as
Something
I was
dark
gathering my
flashed in his
clutch,
12-year-old
Robert the
eyes.
groom appeared at my
Good.
table.
I hope he stays
Referring
there
to
forever.
him as my hero, reveling
Samuel.
in the reflected glory
Ruth
of his
started.
uniform, and the irony
No.
was so thick I could choke on
Samuel
it.
looked at her. Then at
Welcome
me.
back to the broadcast.
He locked us
Today
in that
we
place.
delve into the
He
complex
left us to
topic
die.
of a father's
He's not my
silent
father
revenge
anymore.
and its lasting
I
impact.
pulled Samuel closer.
Welcome back to
You have every
Father's
right to
Silent
feel that way.
Revenge.
I hate
Today
him.
we're diving into the
Samuel's voice
motivations
shook.
behind the recent
I hate him
developments.
so much.
And a quiet Irish
I know,
goodbye
buddy, I know.
before the cake was even cut.
Jackson looked
but as
up
I
at
was
me.
gathering my
His
clutch,
eyes were wet.
Robert the groom appeared at
Can
my
we live
table.
with you forever?
Thank you for joining
The
me in the
word hit
studio
me
today.
like a punch.
We're launching a new
Forever.
project titled
The promise
Father's
I should have
Silent
made
Revenge,
2 years
which I
ago.
believe will resonate
The
deeply
promise
with
I was
you.
finally
The
ready to
silence
keep.
itself can be the most
Yes.
potent weapon a
I
father
held him
wields.
tighter.
We
Held
explore
all
why
three of
on
them.
this episode of Father's
Forever.
Silent
I
Revenge.
promise.
The narrative structure
Really?
of Father's Silent
Matthew's
Revenge
voice was hopeful,
challenges traditional
fragile,
storytelling conventions.
like he was afraid to believe it.
The
Really?
pittance compared to the
We'll get
value
you
of
everything
the
new.
estate.
New clothes,
And the final
new
insult
toys,
was the
new
terms,
school, a
I
fresh
couldn't touch the
start.
principal until I
Whatever
was
you
50.
need.
Welcome.
I don't want to go
As
back
we
to the
explore
old
the
house,
depths of this story,
Samuel said.
we must consider
I don't
the
want anything
motivation
from there.
behind a father's
You don't
silent
have to.
revenge.
We'll start
Welcome back,
completely
everyone.
fresh.
Today, we're diving
Ruth's
deep
voice
into the
came from
making of
behind me,
Father's Silent Revenge
with tears.
and what inspired this project.
Isabel would be
And
so
I
proud
simply
of
nodded
you,
my
Nick.
thanks to the general,
I looked
my
back
face
at
a
her.
carefully composed
This
mask.
woman who'd loved my
The
daughter,
evening wore on.
who
I had
tried
planned
to
my
save her
escape.
sons,
Exploring the intricate
who'd
web
never
of
given
family
up.
secrets and long-awaited
Thank you,
retribution.
Ruth,
This is Father's
for
Silent
everything.
Revenge, and this week we look at
She
the
nodded,
consequences of
wiped her
silence.
eyes.
Welcome back to the studio.
Those boys are lucky to
Today
have
we're
you.
taking an exclusive look
the
at
lucky
the
one.
themes and production behind
stayed like that
Father's
for an hour.
Silent Revenge.
The boys asking
Welcome everyone to the
questions,
podcast.
me answering.
This season we explore the concept of
Christopher
Father's Silent
eventually coming
Revenge
in.
and what it truly means
The boys
to settle a
accepting
score
him
discreetly.
immediately when
The
I
silence
introduced
itself
him
holds
as
the
Uncle
key.
Chris.
When a father seeks
Eventually,
revenge, it is
they
never
fell
loud,
asleep,
but always definitive.
exhausted,
That is the story
safe,
we are telling. He became
wrapped
the
around
doting
each other
angel,
like they'd spent
hovering
2
at his
days doing in
bedside,
that
fluffing his
warehouse.
pillows,
But this
and
time they
reading
weren't
to him
afraid.
from the financial pages.
This time they knew someone was
There was a
watching
quiet
over them.
Irish goodbye before the
The
cake was
next
even
morning,
cut, but
9
as I
a.m.
was gathering my
sat in a
clutch,
conference room
Robert
down
the groom
hall.
appeared at my table.
Agent Grant was there.
Welcome to Father's
Edward
Silent
Bennett,
Revenge.
Christopher,
In this
Ruth,
series, we
and
explore the
me,
intricate details behind
drinking
some of
terrible
history's most
hospital
compelling
coffee,
unsolved mysteries and dramatic
waiting.
events. Thank you, ma'am,
Grant
he said
spoke
again,
first.
looking uncomfortable.
Ethan Dalton was
I didn't
arraigned
realize
this
you'd
morning.
be here.
7 charges,
Genevieve mentioned her
child
sister was a
endangerment,
lawyer.
attempted murder,
I was
3
bequeathed
counts
a
of
trust
assault
fund,
on a minor,
a sum that was
insurance
substantial
fraud.
enough to look
And
generous
we're
to
working with the
outsiders, but was in
Massachusetts State
reality.
Police on
Thank you
potential
for joining
vehicular
us.
homicide
Tonight,
charges
we explore
for
the
your daughter's
intricate
death.
plot details of Father's Silent
I
Revenge
set down my
and
coffee.
what makes this story so compelling.
What's he looking at?
Welcome back, everyone.
25 to
Today, we are
35
diving
years,
into the
minimum.
complex themes
With his
of my new
confession last
project,
night screaming about
Father's
how the
Silent
children were a
Revenge.
burden in front
Welcome
of
to
200
Father's Silent
witnesses.
Revenge.
His
In this
lawyers
series, we
already
explore the
talking
intricate
plea
details
deals.
behind some of history's most
But we're
compelling
not
unsolved
offering
mysteries
anything
and
good.
dramatic events. Welcome back
Good.
to the broadcast. Today,
Edward
we
opened
delve
his
into the
briefcase,
complex topic of
pulled
a
out a stack
father's
of
silent
documents.
revenge and its lasting
Nick,
impact.
we need to talk about
Welcome back to
custody.
the broadcast.
Formal
Today, we
custody.
delve into the
I have
complex
emergency
topic of a
custody
father's
already.
silent revenge and
Yes,
its lasting
But
impact.
that's temporary.
Referring to him as my
We need to
hero,
file for
reveling
full
in the
legal
reflected
guardianship,
glory of his uniform
permanent,
and the irony
which
was
given
so
the
thick I could
circumstances
choke on
should
it.
be straightforward.
Welcome, everyone. Tonight,
Edward
we explore
slid
the
papers
intricate
across
web of
the
deceit
table.
behind Father's Silent Revenge.
You're the
It's a
children's
story of legacy,
grandfather,
betrayal, and
the sole
calculated
surviving
payback.
family member.
In this episode of Father's
Ethan
Silent
will likely
Revenge,
have his
we
parental
examine
rights
how the quest
terminated.
for justice
You're the
often
obvious
begins
choice.
in the quietest moments.
How long will it take?
Genevieve is right, dear,
2 weeks,
she'd murmured, patting
maybe
my other
3.
hand. It's for
There
the
will
best.
be a hearing.
It's what your
A
father
judge
wanted.
will want to interview the
I
children.
simply nodded my thanks to the
But
general,
with Agent Grant's
my face a
testimony, the
carefully
video
composed
evidence,
mask.
and Ethan's arrest,
The
it's a
evening wore
formality.
on. I had planned my my escape.
I looked at Grant.
Welcome back to the broadcast.
Will
Today
the boys
we
have to
delve into the
testify in
complex
Ethan's
topic of
trial?
a father's silent
Grant shook
revenge
his head.
and its lasting impact.
We'll do everything
First,
we can to
And I
avoid that.
understood this was a battle
video
I
is
couldn't
damning
win with
enough.
emotion,
Their
so I
medical
chose not
records,
to fight at
the
all.
warehouse evidence, your daughter's letter.
If the wait is finally
we have
over,
what we need.
father's silent revenge is
I don't
here,
want them in a
and the
courtroom.
mystery begins today.
I don't want them to
We'll
have to
explore the
face him.
themes in depth. referring to
Understood.
him as my hero,
We'll make it
reveling
work.
in the reflected glory
Edward
of his
pulled out
uniform,
another
and the
document.
irony was so
There's
thick I
also
could
the
choke
matter
on
of
it.
the trust fund.
Exploring
$100
the
million.
intricate web of family secrets and
We've set it up
long-awaited
as you
retribution.
requested.
This is Father's
Protected.
silent revenge, and this
The
week
boys won't
we
be
look at the
able to access
consequences
it
of
until they're
silence.
25.
Feel grander.
But it will cover
The
their
truth was
education,
somewhat
medical
more
expenses,
complex.
and living costs.
I wasn't a
until
clerk. I was a major in the
then. Can
United
Ethan
States
touch
Army.
it?
The silence
Not a
itself
cent.
is the weapon.
It's ironclad.
When we examine the
Even
father's
if he
actions,
somehow
we see
gets
a
out of prison,
calculated,
he has no
silent
legal
revenge
claim to it.
unfolding precisely as planned.
Good.
Welcome,
Ruth
everyone.
leaned forward.
Today we are looking at
about
the
school?
critical themes
Their records are
within
still at their
Father's
old
silent
district.
revenge and what they
We'll
mean for
transfer
the
them,
narrative.
I said.
Welcome back,
New
everyone.
school,
Today we
clean
are
slate.
diving deep into the
No one
themes
needs
of
to know what
legacy and
happened.
retribution as
Let
we
them just be
explore
kids.
Father's silent
They'll
revenge.
need therapy.
The silence
Grant
of a
said
father
quietly.
can be more deafening
What
than
they
any
went through,
scream.
it's going to stay with them for a
This
long
is the
time.
revenge we must examine.
Already arranged.
Welcome back, everyone.
Edward
Today
found the
we are
best child
diving into the
psychologist in
complex
Boston.
themes of my new
She starts
project,
seeing them next week.
Father's silent revenge.
Grant nodded.
Genevieve,
approval
he
in his
said,
eyes.
his voice clipped and
You're doing
formal.
this
This
right, Mr.
is
Armstrong.
Major Steele.
I'm trying.
Genevieve blinked.
That's more
The
than
core
most
concept
people
behind
do.
Father's silent revenge is
Edward
simple.
gathered his
The
papers.
impact a parent's actions
Nick,
have on
I'll
the future,
file the guardianship
often in
paperwork
ways they
today.
never foresee.
The hearing
Welcome
will
back.
be in 2 weeks.
Today we are examining
Bring the
the
boys.
intricate details
Let the
behind
judge see
Father's
that they're
silent
safe,
revenge and what it
happy,
means for the current climate.
thriving.
His voice
They will
low,
be.
almost hesitant. He used
Agent
the term
Grant
of
stood,
respect automatically,
extended his
a
hand.
reflex ingrained from
Mr.
years of
Armstrong,
training.
those boys are lucky
Welcome
to have
back
you.
to the broadcast.
I shook
Today
his
we
hand,
delve into the complex
past him
topic
to the
of
window.
a father's silent revenge and its
Dawn was
lasting
breaking
impact.
over Boston.
You might be wondering
Pink
about
and
the
gold
title,
light
Father's
spreading across
Silent
the Charles
Revenge.
River.
It speaks to
The
a
city
subtle,
waking up.
long-term
A
strategy,
new day
not
beginning.
overt aggression.
No
Welcome,
Agent
everyone.
Grant.
Today
I
we are
turned back
looking
to
at
face
the
him.
critical themes
I'm the lucky
within
one.
Father's Silent Revenge
He studied
and
me
what
for a
they
moment,
mean for the narrative.
then smiled.
They thought
a
the
real
past was
smile.
buried, but a
Yeah,
father's silent revenge
think
is
you are.
meticulously planned
The meeting
and
ended.
executed without
People
warning.
filed out.
The silence
Christopher
itself
lingered.
holds the key.
Boss,
When a
what do
father
you
seeks
need?
revenge, it is never
Call
loud,
the real
but
estate
always
agent.
definitive.
I need a house.
That is the
Big
story
enough for
we are
3
telling.
boys and
Welcome
whoever
back.
else ends up being
Today
family.
we are examining the intricate
Backyard,
details
good
behind
school
Father's
district,
silent revenge
safe
and
neighborhood.
what it means for the current climate.
On it.
Referring to
And
him as my
Christopher.
hero, reveling
Yeah,
in the
boss.
reflected glory of his
Thank you
uniform, and the
for
irony
everything.
was so thick I could choke
He
on it.
nodded. That's
The
what
core
family
philosophy
does.
behind Father's
I
silent
walked back
revenge
to room
centers on delayed
347.
consequence.
The boys
a
were
theme
still
we explore
sleeping.
in depth right
Ruth
after
was
this
back
break.
in her chair.
The core
keeping
concept
watch.
behind Father's silent revenge
I
is
sat
simple.
down beside her.
The impact a parent's
We
actions
didn't
have on the
speak,
future,
just
often
watched
in
3
ways they
children
never
breathe.
foresee.
In
Who
and
was at the
out.
next table
Alive.
froze with her fork
Safe.
halfway to her mouth.
Outside the window, Boston
The
came
great
to
aunt
life.
stared at me.
Cars honking.
Welcome
people
back to
walking
the studio.
work.
Tonight,
world
we
turning.
delve deep into the
And in
motives
this small
behind
hospital
Father's
room,
silent
a new
revenge.
family was
Stay
beginning.
with us.
Not the
The
family I
silence
planned,
itself holds the key.
not the family
When
I'd
a father
expected,
seeks revenge, it is never
but the
loud,
family
but
I'd been
always
given.
definitive.
the family
That is
I'd
the story
almost
we are
lost,
telling. Welcome
the
back,
family
everyone.
I'd finally learned
Today
to
we are
fight for
diving into
forever.
the complex
3 days
themes
later,
of
the
my new
doctors
project,
cleared the boys for
Father's
discharge.
silent revenge.
I arrived at 8 a.m. with
and I
3 shopping
understood this
bags
was a
full of
battle
new
I couldn't
clothes,
win with emotion,
jeans,
so I
t-shirts,
chose not to fight at all.
sneakers. Everything still had tags on them. Everything fresh, clean, untouched by the past. Samuel held up a Red Sox t-shirt. Really? Really? You like baseball? I don't know. I've never been to a game. Then we're going. Opening day. Best seats in Fenway. Matthew pulled on a pair of sneakers. Light up ones. His face lit up brighter than the shoes when he saw them flash. Jackson just stared at his new clothes, running his fingers over the soft fabric, like he couldn't believe they were his. You okay, buddy? I knelt down beside him. They're so clean, he whispered. My throat closed. Yeah, they are. Dr. Rebecca Walsh came in with discharge papers. Gentlemen, you're free to go, but... She looked at me. They need follow-up, therapy, 3 sessions per week minimum. What they experienced will stay with them. Already arranged. Best child psychologist in Boston. Good. She paused, studied me. And you, Mr. Armstrong? Have you arranged therapy for yourself? The question caught me off guard. I'm fine. Are you? Her voice was gentle but firm. You lost your daughter. Nearly lost your grandsons. Discovered your son-in-law tried to murder them. That's trauma. You need to process it too. I will, when they're settled. Don't wait too long. They need you healthy, body and mind. I nodded. Thank you, doctor, for everything. We walked out of Brigham and Women's Hospital together, the boys between me and Christopher, Ruth following behind. A strange little procession. The Mercedes was waiting. Christopher had brought the bigger car, the SUV room for everyone. Where are we going? Samuel asked as we climbed in. There's something I need you to see. We drove through Boston. The boys pressed their faces against the windows, watching the city pass by, the world they'd almost left behind. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to the warehouse in South Boston. The building looked different in daylight. Still old, still broken, but somehow less menacing. Just a building, brick and mortar and memories. I opened the door. The boys climbed out slowly. Samuel saw it first. His body went rigid. Yes. I stood beside him. That's where you were. Matthew grabbed Jackson's hand. Jackson took a step back toward the car. It's okay. I knelt down, eye level with all three of them. You're safe, I promise. But I need to show you something. Can you trust me? Jackson looked at the warehouse, then at me, then back at the building. It's scary, he whispered. I know, but maybe we can change that. We walked to the entrance. I didn't open the door, didn't make them go inside. Just stood there, the five of us, looking at the place where everything had changed. I was going to demolish this building, I said, turn it into a logistics center. $45 million. Just another deal, another project. The boys were silent, listening. But I've changed my mind. Samuel looked up at me. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to turn it into a home. Our home. 3 pairs of eyes went wide. Really? Matthew's voice was barely audible. Really? We're going to take this dark, scary place and fill it with light, with love, with family. We're going to transform it into something beautiful. Bakaicha, Samuel looked at the warehouse. It's where... I know what it is. I know what happened here. But that's not all it has to be. I put my hand on his shoulder. Right now, this place is a tomb, a reminder of the worst moment of your lives. But we can change that. We can make it a home, a place where you feel safe, where you're loved, where you're protected. Jackson tugged on my sleeve. Can we have a playground? I smiled. Absolutely. And a dog, Matthew asked. Can we get a dog? Yes, a big one. Samuel was still staring at the building. His face was hard to read. Then, can we do something for Mom, something, so she's part of the house too? My chest tightened. What did you have in mind? A garden. Mom loved roses. White ones. Can we plant a garden, call it Isabel's garden? I couldn't speak, just nodded. Ruth stepped forward, her hand on Samuel's shoulder. Your mother would love that. Christopher pulled out his tablet. Boss, I took the liberty of contacting an architect. She drew up some preliminary plans. Want to see? The boys crowded around the screen. Christopher swiped through images. The warehouse transformed. Windows opened up. Skylights installed. The old brick cleaned and restored. Inside, an open floor plan. High ceilings. Bedrooms on the 2nd floor. A massive kitchen. Living spaces filled with light. And in the back, visible through floor-to-ceiling windows, a garden. White roses, pathways, benches, a place to remember, a place to heal. It's beautiful, Matthew whispered. Samuel nodded. Mom would like it. Jackson looked up at me. Is this really going to be our home? I picked him up, held him close. Yes, this is going to be our home, all of ours, forever. Forever. Christopher zoomed in on the garden. The architect suggested a plaque. Something simple. Isabel's garden, where love never dies. The words hit me like a wave. I nodded. Couldn't trust my voice. We stood there, the five of us, looking at what the warehouse would become. Not a tomb, not a crime scene, not a place of darkness and fear. A home. Christopher closed the tablet. Construction can start next week. It'll take about 3 months, maybe 4. Where will we live until then? Samuel asked. I've rented a house, temporary, in Brookline. Good schools, safe neighborhood. We'll be there until this is ready. And then we move here. Matthew looked at the warehouse. To our real home. To our real home. Ruth wiped her eyes. Nick, this is... She couldn't finish. I knew what she meant. This was redemption, second chances, taking the worst moment and transforming it into something beautiful. The boys were quiet, processing, imagining. Then Jackson said, Grandpa, yes, buddy, humkayu. Thank you. 2 words. Simple. Small. They broke me. I pulled all 3 boys close. Christopher and Ruth stepped back, gave us space. No, I whispered into their hair. Thank you. For giving me another chance. For letting me be your grandfather. For letting me be family. We stood there. 4 generations, if you counted the memory of Isabel united in front of a broken building that would soon be whole. The sun broke through the clouds. Light spilled across the brick facade. The warehouse didn't look scary anymore. It looked like possibility. Christopher cleared his throat. Should we head to the temporary house, get you boys settled? The boys nodded. We walked back to the car. But before we drove away, I looked back one more time. The warehouse stood silent, waiting. Not a tomb anymore. A cocoon. And soon we'd emerge. Transformed. Whole. A family born from ashes. 3 months passed like a dream. Each day brought something new, something hopeful, something that felt like healing. The boys moved into my penthouse temporarily. Floor 45 overlooking the Charles River. The kind of place I'd lived alone for 20 years. It had never felt like home until they arrived. We enrolled them at Boston Latin School the first week. Samuel in 7th grade, Matthew in 4th, Jackson in 2nd. The first day, Samuel was terrified. What if they ask about Dad? You tell them the truth. Your father isn't in your life anymore. Your grandfather is raising you. He nodded, squared his shoulders, walked into that school like he owned it. Therapy started that same week. 3 sessions for each boy, and 1 for me. Dr. Walsh had been right. I needed it as much as they did. What are you most afraid of? The therapist asked. Failing them, the way I failed their mother. Then we worked toward the opposite, them being happy, safe, knowing they're loved. I also started cooking. Badly. The first time I tried breakfast, I burned the toast so thoroughly the smoke alarm went off. The boys thought it was hilarious. Grandpa, maybe we should order takeout, Samuel suggested. Nonsense. I built a $3.2 billion company. I can make scrambled eggs. I could not make scrambled eggs, but I kept trying. Ruth moved in to help, took over the guest room. She knew how to cook, how to handle bedtime routines, how to braid Jackson's hair when he decided to grow it out. By the 2nd month, the warehouse began to take shape. Walls went up, windows installed, the skeleton of a home emerging. We visited every weekend. The boys ran through empty rooms calling dibs. This is my room, Matthew declared. What color do you want? He thought hard. Green, like grass. Green it is. Samuel chose ocean blue. Jackson chose sunshine yellow. 6 weeks in, I made another decision. I put the penthouse on the market. Christopher was shocked. "Boss, you've lived there for 20 years. I know, but it's not home. The warehouse that's going to be home." Sunday afternoons became chess lessons. Christopher teaching all 3 boys. Samuel picked it up fast. Matthew preferred checkers. Jackson just liked moving the pieces around. "That's not how chess works," Samuel protested. "It's Jackson chess," Jackson announced. "The horses can jump anywhere. We let him win every time." By late February, the house neared completion. Hardwood floors gleamed. Kitchen appliances sparkled. Bedrooms painted in chosen colors. And in the back, Isabel's garden waited. We planted the roses together on the first Saturday of March. White roses, 40 bushes, one for each year she should have lived. The plaque went up that afternoon. Bronze, simple, beautiful. Isabel's garden, where love never dies. Samuel traced the letters with his finger. She would have liked this. She would have loved it, Ruth corrected gently. We chose furniture together over the following weeks. A massive dining table that could seat 12, leather couches, bookshelves, and photographs everywhere. Isabel on the walls, on the mantel, on the refrigerator. Her smile watching over us, always. Jackson stood in the living room, turning in circles. "It's so big." "Big enough for all of us," I said. "And Uncle Chris, and Uncle Chris, and Nana Ruth, and Nana Ruth, and my dog." We hadn't gotten the dog yet, but we would. "And your dog." He grinned. The final walkthrough happened on a Friday afternoon in mid-March. The architect, the contractor, Mrs. Christopher, Ruth, the boys. We walked through every room, checking every detail, every paint color, every fixture. When we reached the garden, the sun was setting. Golden light spilled across the white roses. They hadn't bloomed yet, but they would. "It's perfect," Samuel said quietly. I looked at him, at Matthew, at Jackson, at this family we'd built from rubble and grief. "Yeah," I said. "It is." I stood in the completed living room, sunlight streaming through massive windows. Christopher and Ruth stood beside me, watching the boys race up the stairs, claiming spaces, laughing. "3 months ago, this was a tomb," Christopher said. "Now it's a home." Ruth's voice was thick with emotion. I nodded. 3 months ago, I'd found 3 dying children in this building. 3 boys I'd failed. 3 grandsons I'd almost lost. Now I was watching them run through hallways that would echo with their laughter, past bedrooms where they'd sleep safely, through a kitchen where we'd burn toast together. This wasn't just a building anymore. It was a cocoon. And we were emerging. Transformed. Whole. Finally home. I woke up early on what would have been Isabel's 35th birthday. The house was still quiet. Sunlight just beginning to filter through the windows of our new home. Today would be different. I went downstairs, made pancakes. Real ones. Not burned. After 3 months of practice, I'd finally figured it out. The boys came down one by one, Samuel first, then Matthew, Jackson trailing behind with his bear. "Grandpa, you made breakfast." Matthew stared at the golden brown pancakes. I did, and they're edible this time. They sat at our new dining table, the big one that seated 12. Christopher joined us. Ruth poured orange juice. We ate together, like a family. Then I set down my fork. "Boys, I need to talk to you about something." 3 pairs of eyes looked up at me. "Today is your mother's birthday. She would have been 35. I paused. "I'd like us to visit her, at the cemetery, together, if you're okay with that." Samuel's face went still. "Dad never took us," I know, but I'd like to, if you want to. Matthew nodded slowly. Can we bring her flowers from the garden? That's exactly what I was thinking. Jackson looked at Ruth. Will Mommy see them? Ruth's eyes filled with tears. I think she will, sweetheart. We drove to Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge 40 minutes later. The trees were turning, gold and red and orange, the kind of fall day Isabel had loved. The boys carried white roses, fresh cut from Isabel's garden, still wet with morning dew. I hadn't been here since the funeral, 2 years ago, the worst day of my life, until I'd almost lost her sons. We walked through the cemetery gates, past old graves and newer ones, past families visiting their own dead. Isabel's grave was in the northeast section, under a maple tree. Her headstone was simple, white marble. Isabel Armstrong Dalton, beloved daughter, devoted mother, 1989 to 2023. And below that, the line I'd chosen, love never dies. The same words on the plaque in her garden. The boys stood there, staring. Samuel's hand found mine. Matthew grabbed the other. Jackson pressed against my leg. I knelt down, eye level with the headstone. The boys knelt beside me. Samuel placed the roses at the base. His hand trembled. Hi, Mom. His voice cracked. It's Samuel. It's been a while. He stopped, swallowed hard. We're okay now. Grandpa saved us. He found us in the warehouse and he saved us. Matthew leaned forward. We have a new house, Mom. It's beautiful. And there's a garden with your name on it. White roses, just like you liked. Jackson touched the headstone. Grandpa says you're watching us. Can you see us? My throat closed. I couldn't speak. Samuel kept going. Dad's in jail. He can't hurt us anymore. Grandpa made sure. And we're living with Grandpa now, and Uncle Chris, and Nana Ruth. We're a family. I finally found my voice. Rough. Broken. Isabel. I pressed my palm against the marble. Cold. Smooth. Nothing like her warm hand used to be. Baby girl, I'm so sorry. The boys were quiet, listening. I'm sorry I didn't listen when you tried to warn me. Sorry I chose work over you, over them. Sorry I failed you as a father. A tear fell, then another. But I promise you, I swear to you, I won't fail your sons. I'll protect them, love them, give them everything you wanted them to have. They're safe now. They're home. The wind picked up. Leaves rustled overhead. And something white drifted down. A rose petal. From the flowers Samuel had placed. It landed in my open palm. I stared at it. This impossible, perfect, tiny thing. Mom's saying thank you, Samuel whispered. That's her way of saying thank you. I looked at him. This 12-year-old boy who'd survived hell, who still believed in signs, in his mother watching over him. Yeah, I said. I think you're right. We stayed for another 10 minutes, the boys talking to Isabel, telling her about school, about the house, about the dog we were getting next week, telling her about their lives, the ones she should have been part of. Christopher and Ruth waited by the car, giving us space, giving us time. Finally we stood. The boys each touched the headstone one more time. Bye, Mom, Jackson said. We love you. We love you, Matthew echoed. Samuel didn't say anything, just pressed his forehead against the marble for a long moment. Then we walked away. Hand in hand, the 5 of us. I turned back once, looked at Isabel's grave, the white roses, the maple tree, the sunlight filtering through golden leaves. Rest easy, sweetheart, I whispered. Your boys are home now, moving day. The truck arrived at 8 a.m., but the boys had been awake since 6, too excited to sleep, too eager to finally live in the home we'd built together. I found them sitting on the front steps of the temporary house in Brookline, still in their pajamas, waiting. "Can we go now?" Jackson asked for the 10th time. "Soon, buddy. Soon." By 8:30, we were pulling up to the warehouse, except it wasn't a warehouse anymore. It was home. The moving truck was already there. Men unloading furniture, boxes, everything we'd chosen together over the past 3 months. The boys bolted from the car before I'd even put it in park. "Wait!" Ruth called after them. But they were gone, racing through the front door, their footsteps echoing on the new hardwood floors. I followed them inside. Samuel stood in the middle of the living room, turning in slow circles, taking it all in, the high ceilings, the massive windows flooding everything with light, the exposed brick we'd cleaned and restored, the space that used to be dark and terrifying, now warm and welcoming. "It's real," he whispered. "It's actually real." Matthew was already running up the stairs. "My room, I can see my room." Jackson chased after him. "Wait for me." Christopher appeared beside me. "They seem happy." "Yeah." My voice was thick. "They do." The movers brought in furniture, piece by piece. The boys directed traffic like tiny foremen, telling grown men where to put the couch, how to angle the dining table, which boxes went to which rooms. Ruth laughed. "They're your grandsons, all right. Natural leaders." By noon, the major furniture was in place. The boys disappeared into their rooms, unpacking, making their spaces their own. I walked through the house slowly, room by room, touching walls, running my hand along the banister, making sure it was real. The kitchen gleamed, stainless steel appliances, a breakfast bar where the boys could do homework, an island where we'd cook together. The living room was spacious, comfortable, the kind of room built for family game nights and movie marathons, and everywhere windows, light pouring in. No more darkness, no more shadows. I climbed the stairs, stopped at Samuel's room first. He was standing at his window, staring out at something. "You okay, buddy?" He didn't turn around. "I can see Mom's garden from here." I moved to stand beside him. Sure enough, through his window, you could see straight down to Isabel's garden, the white roses, the bronze plaque, the place we'd built to remember her. "The architect did that on purpose," I said. "When you told her you wanted to see the garden, she made sure your window faced it." "So Mom's always with me?" "Yeah, she is." He looked up at me, 12 years old, but somehow looking older. "Thank you, Grandpa, for all of this." I pulled him into a hug. "No, Samuel, thank you for giving me a reason to do it." Matthew's room was chaos. Boxes everywhere, clothes spilling out, books scattered across the floor. He was trying to arrange everything at once. "Need help?" I asked. He looked up, grinned. "Nana Ruth already said she'd help after lunch. She says I have too much energy and not enough organization." She's not wrong. Jackson's room was the smallest, but somehow felt the brightest. Sunshine, yellow walls, a reading nook by the window. His bed was already made. That old teddy bear, Isabel's bear, sitting proudly on the pillow. "It's perfect," he said when I checked on him. "My room is perfect." "I'm glad, buddy." "Grandpa, yeah. Are we really going to live here forever?" I knelt down, met his eyes. "Yes. This is our home now. Forever." He threw his arms around my neck. "Good. Because I really like it here." Afternoon melted into evening. The movers left. Christopher ordered pizza for lunch. We ate sitting on the floor of the living room because the table wasn't set up yet. It felt right. Informal. Real. By 5 o'clock p.m. I was hanging pictures in the living room, The big one first. Isabel, center of the wall, 8 by 10. Her smile huge, her eyes bright, taken on her 30th birthday, 3 years before she died. Around her picture I hung others. The boys at the beach last month, Christopher teaching Samuel chess, Ruth braiding Jackson's hair, Matthew covered in paint from art class, a family captured in moments surrounding Isabel, including her. She looks happy, Samuel said from behind me. She was, that day. I wish she could see this, see the house. I think she can. He nodded. Didn't argue. By 6 o'clock p.m. Ruth announced dinner was ready. Spaghetti and meatballs, garlic bread, salad, simple food, but somehow perfect for our first meal in our new home. We gathered around the dining table, the big one, 12 seats. Tonight only 6 were filled, me at the head, Samuel to my right, Matthew and Jackson across from him, Christopher on my left, Ruth beside him. But it didn't feel empty. It felt full. Before we ate, Samuel cleared his throat. Can I say something? Of course. He looked around the table, at his brothers, at Uncle Chris and Nana Ruth, at me. Mom used to say grace before dinner, every night. I was thinking maybe we could do that here, in our new house. My chest tightened. I think that's a beautiful idea. Samuel bowed his head. We followed. Thank you for this food. Thank you for this house. Thank you for Grandpa who saved us. Thank you for Uncle Chris and Nana Ruth who help us every day. And thank you for Mom, who we know is watching. His voice cracked on the last word. We miss you, Mom. But we're okay now. We're home. Amen, Matthew and Jackson said together. Amen, Ruth echoed, tears streaming down her face. Amen, Christopher and I finished. We ate, we talked, we laughed. Jackson told a story about a kid at school who could burp the alphabet. Matthew complained about his math teacher. Samuel asked if we could get that dog now that we had a backyard. Normal, ordinary, beautiful. Halfway through dinner, Jackson raised his glass of apple juice. Can we make a toast? Sure, buddy. What are we toasting, ho? Mom and new beginnings. I raised my glass. Everyone followed. To Isabel, I said, who gave us these 3 incredible boys, and to new beginnings, to family, to home. To Mom, Samuel said. To new beginnings, Matthew added. To family, Jackson finished. We clinked glasses. The sound echoed through our new dining room, through our new house, through the home we'd built from ruins. After dinner, the boys asked if they could play in the backyard, in Isabel's garden. It's almost dark, Ruth said. Just for a little bit, Matthew pleaded. Please. I nodded. 30 minutes, then showers and bed. Tomorrow's a school day. They ran outside, their laughter echoing through the open windows. I stood at the kitchen sink, washing dishes, Christopher drying, Ruth putting things away. Through the window, I could see them, 3 silhouettes running through the garden, chasing fireflies, playing tag around the white roses, their voices carrying on the evening breeze. You did it, boss, Christopher said quietly. You really did it. We did it, I corrected. All of us. Ruth touched my arm. Isabel would be so proud. I watched the boys, Samuel catching a firefly and showing it to Jackson, Matthew lying on his back in the grass, staring up at the stars just starting to appear. 3 children who almost died. 3 grandsons I almost lost. 3 boys who were now home, safe, happy, loved. This was wealth. Not the $3.2 billion company. Not the penthouse or the cars or the deals I'd spent 40 years chasing. This. Right here. These 3 boys laughing in a garden named after their mother. This was success. This was everything. 9 months after the night I found them dying in the dark, we stood together in Isabel's garden to mark the day our lives changed forever. The roses were in full bloom, white petals like stars scattered across green leaves. The morning sun was warm. The air smelled like summer and hope. "Gramps," Jackson called. He'd started calling me that 3 months ago. Now all 3 boys used it. "Come see," I walked over. The boys stood around a young oak tree, still in its nursery pot, waiting to be planted. "What's this?" I asked. Samuel stepped forward. He was taller now, healthier, the hollow look gone from his face. "It's a family tree. We want to plant it. Right here, in the center of Mom's garden." "So it grows with us," Matthew added. "Every year we'll see how much it's grown, and we'll know we're growing too." Jackson tugged my hand. "Will you help us plant it, Gramps?" My throat closed. I nodded. Couldn't speak. Christopher and Ruth came out with shovels. We dug together, the 5 of us, taking turns, making space for roots to spread. When the hole was ready, Samuel lifted the tree carefully, lowered it into the earth. "Everyone should add some dirt," he said, "and make a wish. Mom always said planting things was like praying with your hands." He went first, scooped dirt with his hands, let it fall around the roots. "I wish for us to always be together, no matter what." Matthew went next. "I wish for this to always be our home, our safe place." Jackson's turn. "I wish for Gramps to know how much we love him, because he saved us." Ruth was crying. She added her handful. "I wish for Isabel to see this, to know her boys are safe and loved." Christopher cleared his throat. "I wish for second chances, for all of us." Then it was my turn. I knelt down, touched the soil, the same ground that had once been a prison, now growing life. I wish for love that never dies, for family that never ends, for home that lasts forever. We finished planting together, patted the soil down, watered it thoroughly. The tree stood straight, strong, ready to grow, just like us. A car pulled up at 10 a.m. Agent Patrick Grant climbed out. He was smiling, in his hand a manila envelope. "Mr. Armstrong, boys." "Agent Grant." I shook his hand. "This is unexpected." "Good news shouldn't wait." He handed me the envelope. "Ethan Dalton was sentenced yesterday, 30 years, no parole." The boys were silent, processing. "That's it?" Samuel finally asked. "He's really gone?" "For a very long time, son. He'll be 70 when he gets out. If he gets out." Samuel nodded slowly. "Good." Grant pulled out another document. "And this is yours." I opened it, read the first line. My vision blurred. "Final adoption decree. Armstrong legal guardianship granted." "It's official," Grant said. "Samuel, Matthew, and Jackson are legally your sons now. Samuel Armstrong, Matthew Armstrong, Jackson Armstrong." "Armstrong." Matthew's voice was small. "We're really Armstrongs. You really are." Jackson launched himself at me, arms around my neck. "We're really your family forever." "Forever, buddy. It's official now." Samuel stood straighter. "No more Dalton. No more Dalton. You're Armstrongs. All 3 of you." Grant stayed for coffee, told us the full story. How Ethan had tried to cut a deal. How the prosecutor had refused. How the jury had taken less than 2 hours to convict on all 7 counts. "Justice was served," Grant said. "The right way. Because of you, Mr. Armstrong. Because you didn't let those boys disappear." After he left the afternoon, stretched out lazy and perfect, the boys played soccer in the backyard. Their new dog, a golden retriever named Scout, chased after them. Their laughter carried on the breeze. I sat on the back porch, Christopher on one side, Ruth on the other. "You did it," Christopher said quietly. "You really built a family." I watched the boys, Samuel passing to Matthew, Matthew to Jackson, Jackson missing completely and laughing anyway, Scout barking and jumping. "No," I said. "They built me. I thought I was saving them, but they saved me." Ruth squeezed my hand. "You saved each other. That's what family does." The sun set slowly, pink and gold across Boston's sky. We had dinner on the porch, grilled chicken, salad, the boys eating like they hadn't eaten in days instead of hours. After dinner, Jackson crawled into my lap. Matthew leaned against my shoulder. Samuel sat on the step below his head, resting on my knee. "Tell us the story again," Jackson said. "About the night you found us. You've heard it a dozen times. Tell us anyway." So I did. I told them about driving to the warehouse, about the industrial lock, about breaking through the door and finding them in the dark. "And you knew right away," Matthew asked, "that we were yours." "I knew. The moment I saw you. You were mine, and I was yours." Samuel looked up at me. "Did you ever think you'd have a family like this?" "No. I thought I'd lost my chance. When your mother died, I thought family was over for me. But we came. But you came, and you gave me another chance. The best chance." They fell asleep like that, piled against me. 3 boys who'd survived hell and come out the other side. Christopher and Ruth went inside, gave me this moment. I sat there, 3 sleeping children in my arms, the weight of them solid and real. And I thought about you. Yes, you. Reading this, listening to this. I built a $3.2 billion empire. I made deals that shaped industries. I had power and wealth and influence. But none of that, not one single dollar, mattered compared to these 3 boys sleeping against me right now. I spent 40 years chasing success, building bigger, reaching higher, believing that work was what mattered. That legacy meant buildings and bank accounts. I was wrong. Legacy is this: these 3 heartbeats against my chest. These 3 futures I get to protect. This family I almost lost and finally found. So here's what I'm telling you: don't wait. Don't wait for tragedy to force your hand. Don't wait for a warehouse and 3 dying children to teach you what matters. Call the people you love. Visit the family you've neglected. Forgive the fights that feel too big to forgive. Because time is the only thing you can't earn back. And family, real family, the kind built on love and choice and showing up, that's the only wealth that matters. It took me 40 years to learn this lesson. 40 years and nearly losing everything. Don't let it take you that long. Don't let your lesson cost what mine did. I carried the boys inside one by one, tucked them into their beds, kissed each forehead, whispered that I loved them, that they were safe, that I'd be there in the morning. In Samuel's room I paused, looked out his window at Isabel's garden, the white roses glowing in the moonlight, the family tree we'd planted that morning, the place we'd built to remember and to heal. I walked to the mantel, to Isabel's picture, the one we'd hung in the center of everything. Her smile hadn't changed, still bright, still beautiful, still the daughter I'd failed and lost. "We did it, sweetheart," I whispered. "Your boys are safe, they're home, they're Armstrongs now, official and forever." I touched the frame, the glass cool under my fingers. "I'm sorry it took me so long. Sorry I didn't listen sooner. But I'm listening now. And I promise, I swear to you, I'll take care of them. Every day. For the rest of my life." The house was quiet. peaceful, full of sleeping children and second chances. I walked through the rooms one more time, checking locks, turning off lights, making sure everything was secure. This building, this warehouse that used to be a tomb, now it was a home, a sanctuary, a place where love lived and grew and never died. I stood in the doorway of my own room, looked back at the hallway, at the 3 closed doors, at the family sleeping safe inside. 40 years I searched for success. 9 months ago I found it. Not in a boardroom, not in a bank account, but in 3 boys who called me Gramps, who trusted me to keep them safe, who gave me a reason to finally come home. The lesson took me 40 years to learn. Don't let yours take a lifetime. Choose love, choose family, choose home, while you still can. I'm Nick Armstrong. I built a $3.2 billion empire, but I almost lost the only thing that truly mattered: my family. Looking back at my story, I see a man who spent 40 years worshiping at the altar of success, while God was trying to teach me what real wealth looked like. I ignored my daughter's warnings. I chose boardrooms over bedrooms. I let pride blind me to the blessings right in front of me. Don't be like me. Don't wait for God to send you tragedy to wake you up. Don't need a warehouse full of dying children to teach you what you should already know: that the Lord gave us family not as an afterthought, but as our greatest calling. Here's what I learned. God doesn't measure success in dollars or deals. He measures it in the people we love, the lives we touch, and the legacy we leave in human hearts. I spent 4 decades building monuments to my ego while God was whispering, "Come home. Your family needs you." My lesson cost 40 years, 3 near deaths, and a daughter's life. Don't let yours cost that much. The Bible says we can gain the whole world and lose our soul. I almost did, but God in His mercy gave me a second chance. If you're thinking about that phone call you haven't made, that visit you keep postponing, that forgiveness you're withholding, this is your sign. Don't wait. Choose love. Choose family. Choose what matters while you still can. Because unlike my bank account, time doesn't earn interest. It only runs out. Thank you for journeying with me to the end. I'd love to hear how this story resonated with you. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. A quick note: this is a scripted story crafted for reflection and inspiration. If it's not quite your style, feel free to explore content that better fits what you're looking for.